Chapter 48:48. A terrifying killing intent rushed into the depths of the starry sky like a tide. The originally aggressive immeasurable calamity retreated the moment it came into contact with this killing intent. Immediately after, the dark clouds that were brewing an even more terrifying calamity quickly retreated in all directions like a receding tide. In the blink of an eye, the dark clouds that shrouded the 100 Outer Territories completely disappeared. The darkness in the 100 Outer Territories was finally dispelled, revealing the original light. However, the countless living beings in the 100 Outer Territories were not happy about this light that they had lost but were instead terrified. Sakyamuni's killing intent was too cold and terrifying. They could only kneel on the ground and could not straighten their bodies. What a terrifying killing intent. Just the killing intent alone could dispel the immeasurable calamity. Who was it? Zhu Huang, who was originally resisting the immeasurable calamity, narrowed his eyes and could not help but look at the source of the killing intent. The Abyss Master and Patriarch Tianju also followed Zhu Huang's gaze. In the direction of the immemorial Heavenly Tao Academy, a huge three-headed bird whistled over. Wherever it passed, space was torn apart, forming terrifying black holes. Two figures stood on the back of the giant bird. The leader was a handsome young man with a golden vertical mark between his brows. His entire body emitted a dazzling golden light that was unstoppable. Tao Wu, Sakyamuni, Ji Yuan, Patriarch Tianju's gaze turned cold. He recognized the two people and the bird at a glance. In particular, Sakyamuni's aura was so vast that Patriarch Tianju felt that he could not see through it at all. In addition, Sakyamuni's Tao Wu's aura was equally terrifying. It was actually on par with the three of them. It had also stepped into the true immemorial realm. In the immemorial Heavenly Tao Academy, the other 8 sacred masters and higher-ups all paled when they saw this scene. Tao Wu was the manager of the death prison, an existence that Patriarch Tianju had suppressed in the early years. It should have been unable to escape the death prison for eternity. However, not only had Tao Wu come out, but its aura had become completely unfathomable. What shocked them the most was Sakyamuni. The latter was simply too dazzling. His aura and brilliance far outshone the starry sky, causing all living beings to pale in comparison. How did Sakyamuni, Bai, and the others escape from the death prison? Could it be that Ji Yuan released them? Saint Master Blue Lotus frowned slightly. He had a bad premonition. Impossible. The strength of New Era was not that strong, and the restrictions of the death prison were terrifying. Unless the dean personally took action, no one else could forcefully break it open. The other sacred experts shook their heads. Even though they knew that Master Yuanxing had always been on Sakyamuni's side, Master Yuanxing didn't have that much power. Bai An's speed was extremely fast. He instantly arrived at the highest point of the starry sky and looked down at Zhu Huang, Forefather Tianju, and the Abyss Master. Forefather Tianju, you didn't think that there would be a day like this, did you? Now that I've escaped, it's time to settle our old scores with you. Bai An's 3 pairs of eyes stared straight at Forefather Tianju. His eyes were filled with resentment, and his tone was filled with hatred. For countless years, he had been trapped in the death prison, dark and lonely. All of this was caused by Forefather Tianju. Even in his dreams, he wanted to tear Forefather Tianju into pieces to take revenge. Now was the best time to take revenge. How did you escape? Forefather Tianju glanced at Bai, then looked at Sakyamuni warily. He could naturally sense Bai An's aura. It should be similar to his, at the initial stage of the immemorial realm. However, he couldn't see through Sakyamuni at all. This made him inexplicably terrified. It was Master who allowed me to escape. If it wasn't for Master, I might have been trapped in the death prison forever. Bai An laughed loudly. His eyes were filled with pride, but the killing intent contained in them was getting stronger and stronger. Master? You recognized Sakyamuni as your master? Forefather Tianju was enlightened. Right? Master's strength is beyond your imagination. Today, all of you will die. Bai sneered. Meanwhile, Zhu Huang finally understood Sakyamuni's origin after the Abyss Master's explanation. What surprised him was that Sakyamuni was Zhuowen's archenemy and came from the same starry sky fruit. And he was once Zhuowen's old enemy, but now he actually couldn't see through him. Could it be that this Sakra is? Zhu Huang thought of something, and his pupils shrank. He remembered that Jun once said that the third heaven's chosen child was in the 100 territories outside. Could it be that the mysterious third heaven's chosen child, who had never appeared before, was this young man who was as handsome as a god? You're Sakyamuni? Did you obtain the origin of Qi? Zhu Huang thought for a moment, then looked at Sakyamuni and asked. A trace of fluctuation appeared in Sakyamuni's originally calm eyes. Only then did he seriously size up Zhu Huang. Zhu Huang's original body was a huge golden dragon, but now he had transformed into a human. He was wearing golden armor and looked extraordinarily mighty. You actually know about the origin of Qi? Then where are the other two ultimate essences? Do you know? Sakyamuni spoke slowly. His voice was very indifferent, yet it was filled with indisputable authority. He didn't know anything about the heaven's chosen child. The only information he knew was that he'd inherited one of the three ultimate essences from the origin of Qi. In other words, there should be another two ultimate essences in this expanse of the starry sky. Merely the origin of Qi had given him such terrifying inheritance and strength. Coupled with his terrifying Tao root, he was confident that he could directly devour the other two ultimate essences. At that time, no one in the heavens or the earth would be a match for him, and he would become the true ruler of this world. Zhu Huang's heart shook. He'd instantly noticed the malice in Sakyamuni's eyes. This person was absolutely not a good person. However, he was sure that Sakyamuni had really obtained the origin of Qi. But he was puzzled. How could such a person obtain the ultimate essences? When he saw Zhu Huang fall silent, Sakyamuni grinned and said, I know even if you don't tell me. The other ultimate essences are probably in Zhuowen's possession, right? Zhu Huang's pupils constricted slightly, and he fell silent. After he confirmed that Sakyamuni wasn't a good person, he stopped revealing any information about Jun. Interesting. This fellow Jun has actually obtained the ultimate essences as well. It just so happens that he defeated me numerous times that day, and I still haven't gotten back at him. This time, I'll fight him again, and I'll definitely kill him with my own two hands. After that, I'll unify the entire starry sky, control the world, and dominate it. The corners of Sakyamuni's mouth curled up into a cold smile, and his tone was domineering and fierce. Speak. Where's Zhuan? Sakyamuni gazed calmly at Zhu Huang. Zhu Huang similarly gazed calmly at Sakyamuni and said indifferently, I don't know what enmity there is between you and Zhuo Xiaoyu, but now isn't the time for internal strife. We should work together to face the celestial devil army that's about to appear. The celestial devil army has already conquered the primeval star system, and they'll probably descend into the chaotic starry sky very soon. As a living being of the chaotic starry sky, you're not willing to see it fall into the hands of the celestial devils, right? Chapter 48-49. Sakyamuni said calmly, Primordial celestial demon? Those are nothing to be afraid of. If I want to kill the primordial celestial demon, it's as easy as turning my hand. As for the 100 domains outside the realm, from now on, they are mine, Sakyamuni. Whoever dares to disobey, I will kill them. Zhu Huang's pupils shrank as he looked at Sakyamuni in disbelief. Did the latter not realize the seriousness of the matter? This person had never experienced how terrifying the primordial celestial demon was. Sakyamuni, now is not the time for internal strife. We should unite against the outside world. After dealing with the primordial celestial demon, we can slowly settle our grudges. Ancestor Tianju's cold eyes looked straight at Sakyamuni, and his tone became much gentler. Although he had never seen the primordial celestial demon, from Zhu Huang's description, he knew how terrifying the primordial celestial demon was. Those guys were a terrifying species that could come back from the dead. After all, even the primordial gods who dominated the immemorial stars were almost killed by them. Tianju, back then, you caused me so much pain and made me locked in the death prison forever. Today, I want you to die a horrible death. Tao Wu let out a shrill cry, and his huge body flew across the sky. 3 pairs of scarlet eyes flew towards old ancestor Tianju. Sakyamuni stood in the void calmly and sneered, "Unite against the outside world? You 3 trash, what qualifications do you have to join hands with me? I alone am enough to deal with the primordial celestial demon." Tao Wu was extremely fast. He came across and fought with ancestor Tianju. In an instant, the entire space was enveloped by Tao Wu, pulling ancestor Tianju, Zhu Huang, and the Abyss Master into his nightmare realm. They discovered that they were no longer in space. Instead, they were in a boundless wilderness. In the wilderness, a huge 3-headed bird quickly flew over and attacked the 3 of them. Be careful, Tao Wu's ability is to control the dream realm space at will, and the damage caused in the dream realm space can affect our reality. Ancestor Tianju said in a deep voice. Zhu Huang and the Abyss Master both nodded. They knew that this battle was unavoidable. In that case, they could only fight. Zhu Huang had revealed his true form. His boundless dragon body stretched across the sky, continuously destroying the 3-headed giant birds around him. Ancestor Tianju and the Abyss Master also used all their skills, exuding terrifying energy, destroying the 3-headed giant birds. The 3 of you are only to Zhu Huang, the primordial celestial demon. But thanks to Master's teachings all these years, I cans to break through and break through. Now, my realm of nightmare is perfect and flawless. For the next countless years, you will be trapped in my realm of nightmare, struggling, howling, and begging for mercy. Tao, S's and the celestial Jews, to end the T and Jew. And to for it to Jew, for, to be, for them to be. The meteorites fell rapidly, turning the entire wilderness into powder. Ancestor Tianju, Zhu Huang, and the Abyss Master blocked the meteorites in a sorry state. When they blocked the meteorites, countless black vines grew out of the ground and frantically wrapped around them. The realm of nightmare was unpredictable. They could not keep up with the rhythm and could only defend passively. Outside the realm of nightmare, Tao Wu hovered not far away. 3 pairs of eyes looked at Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, and ancestor Tianju mockingly. At this moment, the 3 of them were surrounded by some kind of strange black gas. Their eyes were closed, and their faces were ferocious as if they were struggling. Weak. Tao Wu, I'll leave these 3 to you. Use your realm of nightmare to interrogate them about Zhuowen's whereabouts. They can't die before you ask about Zhuowen's whereabouts. Otherwise, you'll pay with your life. Sakyamuni glanced at Tao Wu indifferently. The latter was so scared that he trembled and quickly agreed. Sakyamuni, what do you want to do? There will be great terror and calamity in the 100 territories. Now we should work together instead of killing each other. Saint Master Qing Lian rushed over with the other 7 Saint Masters and blocked in front of Sakyamuni. His eyes were full of anger. Everyone is saying this. Even if you don't feel annoyed, I do. I don't need trash like you to deal with the primordial celestial demon. I don't want to join hands with you. I alone am more than enough to kill the primordial celestial demon. Sakyamuni frowned slightly and continued with cold eyes. Tao Wu. Tao Wu understood and roared. Countless black fog instantly wrapped around the 8 Saint Masters, including Saint Master Qing Lian, and made them fall into the realm of nightmare. Then, Tao Wu tied up ancestor Tianju, Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, and the 8 Saint Masters and brought them to Sakyamuni. Ji Yuansheng stood not far away. He couldn't bear it and said, Sure Tian, can you spare their lives? After all, the Sakyamuni was silent for a moment and said, Shurzuan, I can spare their lives, but I will never let them go. I hope Shurzuan can understand. Ji Yuansheng nodded silently, and his heart became more and more complicated. Everyone, the 100 territories will usher in a real calamity. The primordial gods of the immemorial stars have fallen, and the culprit is the primordial celestial demon. These primordial celestial demons are too terrifying. Even the primordial gods are no match for them. Once they come, the 100 territories will be destroyed. Now, you have no choice but to submit to me and accept my protection. Only then will you have a way to live. Anyone who wants to accept my submission, kneel down. Of course, if you don't want to submit, I won't force you. But you must get out of the 100 territories immediately. Don't think about accepting my protection. Sakyamuni hovered above the 100 territories, looking down at the countless creatures below, and slowly opened his mouth. Strangely, his voice was not loud, but it spread through everyone's mind. His voice was clear and cold. In an instant, all the creatures in the 100 territories were in an uproar. Although most of them had never heard of Sakyamuni, they knew Forefather Tianju. They knew that he was the dean of the immemorial Heavenly Tao Academy and the #1 expert in the 100 territories. The immeasurable calamity was even more terrifying. Forefather Tianju and the other two could withstand the immeasurable calamity, which meant that their strength was far above all the creatures in the 100 territories. However, Sakyamuni and Swan and I had easily dealt with Forefather Tianju and the other two. This meant that Sakyamuni and Swan and I were more powerful. Many creatures knew what to choose, but some of them felt that Sakyamuni was too domineering. We can accept your protection and submit to you, but you must let Forefather Tianju and the others go. They have withstood the immeasurable calamity for the 100 territories. They have made great contributions and shouldn't be imprisoned. Forefather Tianju and the others have made great contributions to the 100 territories. They shouldn't be treated like this. Many creatures were in an uproar, and they all asked to release Forefather Tianju and the others. Chapter 4850. Humph! You're courting death. Sakyamuni snorted coldly and waved his sleeve. An invisible ripple spread throughout the entire 100 territories. Anyone who opposed him was basically destroyed and dissipated. For a moment, the 100 territories were as silent as cicadas in winter. No one dared to speak again. Sakyamuni was too terrifying. With just a wave of his sleeve, he had actually destroyed those people without anyone noticing. Moreover, they did not even know how these people had died. At this moment, everyone was terrified. They looked at Sakyamuni's figure in horror. No one dared to make a sound of opposition. Sakyamuni looked around the entire 100 territories. His enormous divine consciousness surged out like a tide and swept through every corner of the 100 territories. After discovering that no one opposed him, a smile appeared on his face. At this moment, he felt an unprecedented satisfaction. The sense of accomplishment of ruling the 100 territories was even more lingering. My goal is not only the 100 territories, but the entire chaotic starry sky and the immemorial star hanging high above. Sakyamuni raised his head and looked at the huge immemorial star with his sharp eyes. A cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. However, before that, I have to defeat Zhuan first. Tao Wu, find out the whereabouts of Zhuan as soon as possible. Sakyamuni looked at Tao Wu and said, "Yes, master." Tao Wu quickly replied. Next, Sakyamuni asked Tao Wu to go to the 100 territories to select talents in construction. He began to build a truly huge floating city in the sky above the 100 territories. This floating city would be the symbol of his rule over the 100 territories. At the same time, it would also be the symbol of his authority. This project was very huge. It used almost 1/3 of the living beings in the 100 territories. After more than 10 years, it was finally built. During these 10 years, Tao Wu had continuously tortured ancestor Tianju, Zhu Huang, and the other two in the realm of nightmare, but he had failed. This made Sakyamuni's patience grow less and less. In the main hall of the floating city, the gray-robed man that Tao Wu had transformed into knelt in front of Sakyamuni and said fearfully, "Master, give me some more time, and I'll definitely be able to find out where Zhuan is. Bye-bye. I have no more patience. Kill old ancestor Tianju and the others, and then kill yourself for me." Sakyamuni said coldly. Anne's entire body trembled, and he hurriedly said, "Master, give me another chance. This time, I will definitely be able to find out the whereabouts of Zhuan. Give me another chance." Sakyamuni's gaze turned cold. Just as he was about to say something, his body froze and his expression changed completely. "Master, What's wrong with you? Seeing Sakymune's expression, Momo asked tentatively. What a strong demonic chi, and it's not just one, but a lot. Come with me. Indra brought Bien to the outside of the floating space city. His cold eyes stared straight at the ancient stars hanging high above. The bright and dazzling ancient stars had already become incomparably dark, as if shrouded in a layer of strange black fog. In the black fog, Sakyamuni keenly perceived that a large cloud of black fog was rapidly leaving the ancient stars and rushing in the direction of the 100 territories. It was extremely fast. That is, standing behind Sakyamuni, Tao Wu's gaze fell on the black fog that was constantly approaching. His entire body trembled, and his heart sank completely. He could feel that the black fog gave him an extremely strong sense of danger. The thing in the black fog could definitely threaten his life. It's the immemorial divine demon. Sakyamuni calmed down and looked at Tao Wu, saying, Go! Bring me the sky army that has been trained over the years. Over the past decade, in order to cultivate his forces, Sakyamuni had selected many powerful and talented geniuses from the 100 territories and taught them the true immemorial realm cultivation method. Originally, given enough time, this sky army could become a powerful army. Unfortunately, there was too little time now. Before the sky army could truly rise, the divine demon army had already begun to attack. This made Sakura somewhat uncertain in his heart. He didn't know much about the immemorial heavenly devil, but he was very clear that with his current strength, there were very few immemorial heavenly devil that could be his opponent. The black fog was getting closer and closer, and soon it was close to the 100 territories. Terrifying immemorial demonic chi swept over like a tide, enveloping the entire chaotic starry sky, causing countless beings in the starry sky to tremble and involuntarily feel fear. Sakyamuni hovered above the floating city, and millions of sky army were brought out by Tao Wu. They hovered behind Sakyamuni, waiting for the arrival of the immemorial divine demon. Countless beings in the 100 territories raised their heads and looked at the black fog with fear in their eyes, as well as the looming tall and terrifying demonic figures in the black fog. Is this the great calamity that Lord Tianju and the others once said is more terrifying than the immeasurable calamity? I've heard of them. It's said that they're the immemorial divine demon clan, a terrifying clan that forced the high and mighty immemorial gods into a desperate situation. The immemorial divine demons are very terrifying. I wonder if Sakyamuni and his sky army can stop them. Countless beings discussed in low voices. After sensing the aura of the immemorial divine demons, countless beings in the 100 territories lost their will to fight. These terrifying immemorial divine demons were too powerful, and they were not something they could contend against. The black fog stopped. The leader was wearing heavy armor and was several feet tall. His body was covered in ferocious barbs, and his body was filled with explosive demonic power. He was Emo Shuji. After conquering Sacred Star City, he devoured most of the constellation gods and the corpses of the 4 chiefs. With the help of the Heavenly Demon King, he completely fused with their power, which made him far more powerful than the true demons. The other true demons and the Heavenly Demon Army under his command had improved greatly, and they had great faith in Emo Shuji. No one dared to disobey him. This was because Emo Shuji was too powerful. All the true demons combined were far from being his match. Some true demons even believed that Emo Shuji's strength was close to that of the Heavenly Demon King. However, Emo Shuji knew very well that he was indeed very powerful, far surpassing the 4 chiefs and all the true demons. However, there was still a fundamental difference between him and the Heavenly Demon King. The difference was like heaven and earth. I am Emo Shuji, a subordinate of the Heavenly Demon King. I'm here to unify the chaotic starry sky. If you don't want to die, you can become the slaves of the immemorial divine demons. You can struggle at death's door under our feet, obey us, and respect us. Otherwise, only death awaits you. Emo Shuji slowly spoke. His voice was not loud, but it was filled with majesty as it resounded in everyone's minds. Once these words were spoken, all the beings in the 100 territories felt indignant, and some hot-blooded cultivators even cursed out loud. Although they were unhappy that Sakyamuni was forcefully controlling them, Sakyamuni was still of the same race, and he did not make them slaves. He only made them submit to him. But now, the immemorial divine demons wanted to make them slaves. How could they submit? Even if they risked their lives, they would resist. Chapter 48-51. Lowly creatures of the chaotic starry skies. This is your only way out and the mercy I'm giving you. Do you really want to die? Mo-Suji looked down at the countless creatures of the 100 domains below and listened to their objections. His eyes narrowed dangerously. He could see that the creatures of the 100 domains were very weak as ants. He could kill them all with a flip of his hand. He didn't expect these creatures to be so unyielding. Was it because of this person in front of him? Thinking of this, Mo-Suji's gaze fell on Sakyamuni. For some reason, this golden-haired youth gave him an unfathomable feeling. You're their king? Mo-Suji asked. The chaotic starry skies are now under my rule. The 100 domains are my territory. You'd better scram as far as you can. Sakyamuni spoke as his gaze fell on Mo-Suji. For some reason, he felt a trace of threat from the latter. This Mo-Suji was definitely very strong. He was probably not weaker than Tao Wu and might even be stronger. Mo-Suji was taken aback, then he sneered, "Scram as far as you can? Is it just you, or are you talking about the huge number of ants below you? You're not scramming?" Sakyamuni's gaze slowly darkened as a vast and terrifying aura slowly erupted. His golden hair stood on end and emitted a dazzling radiance. Go, kill all the creatures of the 100 domains. Mo-Suji snorted coldly and waved his right hand. Immediately, the eyes of the celestial demon army behind him blazed even brighter. They madly charged towards the 100 territories of the outer world. Good. You're really bold. I already said that this is my territory and you still dare to attack. Don't blame me for being impolite. Tao Wu, trap them all in the realm of nightmare and then don't hold back. Kill them all. Indra shouted coldly as he stomped his right foot. Endless golden light sprayed out and spread across the entire 100 outer domains at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, the 100 domains were completely enveloped by the golden light barrier. The endless heavenly demonic army rushed down, but they were all blocked by the golden light shield. No matter how they attacked, the golden light barrier remained as immovable as a mountain, unable to be broken. Screech. At the same time, Tao Wu spread his wings and soared into the sky. Endless gray energy surged out, and wherever it passed, the heavenly demonic army fell into a deep sleep. Sakyamuni's sky army followed behind Tao Wu and engaged in a fierce battle with the sky demon army. Of course, the gap between the sky army and the sky demon army was still too big. If it weren't for Tao Wu's realm of nightmare, they wouldn't have been a match for the sky demon army. Who do you think you are? Only I can control the life and death of the beings in the 100 outer realms. What right do you have to touch them? Sakyamuni was so angry that he laughed instead. Step by step, he walked towards Mo-Suji. The golden light on his body burned brighter and brighter, becoming more and more terrifying. In a single moment, endless streams of golden light erupted from his body. They swept through the entire region of outer space and dyed the pitch-black, icy space a resplendent gold. Die! Sakyamuni roared coldly. His entire body turned into a streak of golden light. He instantly tore through space and arrived before Mo-Suji. His right fist was already punching out. Mo-Suji's expression changed slightly. He also punched out. Blazing demonic chi soared into the sky and collided with Sakyamuni's fist. Rumble! The entire region of outer space seemed to explode. The terrifying fist pierced through space and tore it in half. Mo-Suji grunted and retreated several thousand steps. He smashed through several giant meteors before barely managing to stabilize himself. On the other hand, Sakyamuni stood where he was, unmoving like a mountain. His entire body was like gold. With your strength, you dare to invade my chaotic cosmos? You don't know your own strength. Sakyamuni sneered. He took a step forward, and like a golden spear, he tore through space and punched at Mo-Suji again. Attack together. Mo Suji's expression changed slightly as he roared at the other 36 true demon generals. The 2 true demon generals led by Dragonhead and Oxhead naturally did not dare to disobey Mo Suji's orders. They roared and charged forward, wildly attacking Sakyamune. The 36 true demon generals were all as strong as the constellation god. Moreover, they were skilled in combination attacks. Their combined strength was extremely terrifying, enough to sweep through the 4 paragons. However, Sakyamune only sneered, his eyes filled with disdain. Just a bunch of trash. As he spoke, Sakyamune's body moved like a bolt of lightning. He was like a shining golden meteor as he flashed through the true demons. Every time he flashed through the air, he would be accompanied by the blood-curdling screams of a true demon and the bodies of those true demons that had been punched through. In just a few dozen breaths, Sakyamune had slaughtered the 36 true demon generals. Only Dragonhead and Oxhead were left. How can he be so strong? Just where did this guy come from? Dragonhead and Oxhead paled as they hurriedly retreated to Mo Suji's side. They looked fearfully at Sakyamune standing before them. I heard that you guys were the ones who forced the immemorial god into a corner? I didn't expect you guys to be so weak. If I kill you, not only will I be able to rule over the cosmos of chaos, but I'll also be able to take over the immemorial star system. Sakyamune looked at Mo Suji and the other 2, his smile growing more and more smug. If even the immemorial divine demon who had defeated the immemorial god was no match for him, then who else in the cosmos could destroy them? Then I'll seize Zhuo Wen's ultimate source energy. Then I'll be truly invincible, and no one will be able to match me. Sakyamune grew more and more smug as he stepped toward Mo Suji and the other 2. Attack together. Mo Suji's eyes were cold as he ordered Dragonhead and Bullhead. Then, he rushed out and launched a frenzied attack at Sakura. The 2 true demons, Dragonhead and Oxhead, followed closely behind. Bang bang bang. In the blink of an eye, Mo Suji's group and Sakyamune were engaged in a fierce battle. Demonic energy and golden light swept through the cosmos, making for a terrifying scene. The cosmos was constantly exploding, as if it couldn't bear it any longer. Many black holes appeared. Sakyamune's right hand formed a hook and clawed through Dragonhead's head, while his left hand formed a palm and punched through Oxhead's chest. 2 true demons died on the spot. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Mo Suji clenched his right fist and punched towards Sakura's face. Bang! Sakyamune snorted and tilted his head, dodging Mo Suji's punch. At the same time, he kicked out with his right leg and sent Mo Suji flying. You're much stronger than the other heavenly demons. I can't believe you're still alive after taking so many of my attacks. Sakyamune raised an eyebrow at Mo Suji, who had stood up again, and clicked his tongue in wonder. At this moment, Mo Suji's ferocious armor had been completely shattered, and pitch-black demonic blood was spilling out. He looked exceptionally miserable. At the same time, the heavenly demon army was completely blocked outside the golden light barrier. And continued to use the realm of nightmare, trapping the heavenly demons and killing them in the dreamscape. I never thought I'd encounter resistance even stronger than the primordial star system in the chaotic cosmos. Originally, I didn't want to use the power that my king bestowed upon me. But you're really strong. I have no choice but to use it. Mo Suji slowly got up, and a purplish-black prismatic crystal appeared in his palm. Chapter 4852. Mo Suji pressed the crystal in his hand against his forehead. Instantly, clouds of black blood exploded from his body as he let out a miserable shriek. Then, vortexes surged out of Mo Suji's body and swept out. Next, Sakyamune discovered that these vortexes appeared near the corpses of the dead true demons and heavenly demons and swallowed them all. Strange chewing sounds resounded in the starry sky, causing one's heart to tremble in fear. After the vortexes swallowed the corpses, Mo Suji's aura became more and more terrifying and unfathomable. The heavenly demons are really strange. They can actually devour their own kind? It's a bit similar to my Dao root. Seeing Mo Suji's actions, Sakura couldn't help but frown. his Dao root also had the ability to devour, but it mostly devoured the Dao root and energy. However, Emo Shuji was directly devouring the corpses. This made Sakyamuni feel rather strange and a trace of disgust. This disgusting race should just disappear from this world. Sakyamuni's eyes were filled with disdain as he charged at Emo Shuji. He could clearly sense that Emo Shuji's aura was growing too quickly after devouring the corpses of the true demons and heavenly demons. If he continued to devour, who knew what would happen to him? Sakyamuni would never allow such an unstable factor to exist in this world. Sakyamuni snorted coldly and blasted out with his right hand. The space around Emo Shuji was immediately compressed and shattered by a terrifying power, shattering into countless black holes. Emo Shuji's eyes turned even redder as he roared furiously. Boundless demonic chi soared into the sky, forming a terrifying demonic shadow around him that completely dispersed Sakyamuni's power. Meanwhile, his figure flashed and he began to charge at the heavenly demon army. At this moment, and had already trapped millions of heavenly demon army, but there were still too many of them. He couldn't use the realm of nightmare to trap them all. Suddenly, Emo Shuji rushed over and punched out, shattering the realm of nightmare instantly. And screamed and was sent flying, blood splattering across the starry sky. Once the realm of nightmare shattered, countless sky demon army members woke up. Of course, some of them had already died. The corpses of the heavenly demons were devoured by the vortex around Emo Shuji and became a part of his power. Is it the primordial heavenly devil? Zhu Huang, the Lord of the Abyss, Ancestor Tianju, and the 8 Saint Masters, who were originally trapped in the realm of nightmare, also escaped. When they saw the densely packed sky demon army around them, their expressions changed slightly. There were too many sky demon army. After absorbing all of the true demons and millions of heavenly demon corpses, his strength had increased to an extremely terrifying level. He punched the golden light barrier below him. Kacha! The golden barrier that Sakyamuni had set up began to crack, and then it shattered with a loud bang. You're courting death. Sakra's expression changed slightly. He formed a seal with both hands and struck out in the air. Countless golden saber shadows shot out and poured down like rain towards the heavenly demon army. In the blink of an eye, another large portion of the sky demon army was destroyed by Sakyamuni. Meanwhile, Emo Shuji was surrounded by demonic shadows, which blocked Sakyamuni's countless golden blade shadows. What made Sakyamuni's expression even uglier was that Emo Shuji took the opportunity to devour all of the heavenly demon corpses that Sakyamuni had killed, and his aura became even stronger. Kill all of them. Emo Shuji let out a shocking roar as if he had gone mad. He began to charge at Sakyamuni like a madman. What the lunatic! Sakyamuni's expression darkened. This Emo Shuji was truly difficult to deal with. His strength might not be as strong as his, but he was extremely resilient. Bang bang bang. The two of them clashed, shattering the starry sky and shattering the stars. The battle was extremely terrifying. At the same time, the remaining millions of sky demon army began to invade the 100 domains of the outer realm. They began to madly slaughter the weak creatures. You're courting death. Zhu Huang's expression changed slightly. He turned into a huge golden dragon and swept out his dragon tail, sending many of the sky demon army flying. The Abyss Master and Old Ancestor Tianju's expressions were also ugly. They also unleashed their full strength to stop the sky demon army from slaughtering the creatures of the 100 domains of the outer realm. The 8 Saint Masters were kept in Old Ancestor Tianju's inner world. They were too weak and were no match for the sky demons. Naturally, they were useless against the sky demons. Shusha. This is a moment of life and death for the 100 domains of the outer realm. We'll settle our grudges after this is over. Now, please lend us a hand. Old Ancestor Tianju waved his right hand, and countless golden spears pierced through hundreds of sky demons. He shouted at Sha, who was not far away. Sha narrowed his eyes and looked coldly at Old Ancestor Tianju, but he was indifferent. If you're willing to help, I'll let you do whatever you want after this is over. Old Ancestor Tianju shouted. He knew that this was a moment of life and death for the 100 domains of the outer realm. If they could survive this, then what harm was there in giving his life to Sha Sha? Tianju, this is what you said. Then don't die. I've already decided your life. Sha Sha's voice was cold. He roared and rushed over. The realm of nightmare expanded again, trapping the sky demon army in it again. Kill them quickly. Now that they're trapped in the realm of nightmare, they can't resist in reality. Sha Sha looked at Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, and old ancestor Tianju. The three of them nodded and began to slaughter the sky demon army who were trapped in the realm of nightmare. Suddenly, a blazing black spear came from the depths of the starry sky and pierced through Sha Sha's body, nailing him to the ground. Barf! Sha Sha spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at the black spear in front of his chest in disbelief. This spear was surrounded by demonic energy and was filled with a terrifying aura. After piercing through him, the demonic energy kept drilling into his body and eroding his life. Ancient ferocious beast Sha Sha, your ability is not bad. You can actually make my sky demon army fall into your realm of nightmare without any resistance. An indifferent voice came from the depths of the starry sky. Sha Sha raised his head with difficulty and looked at the source of the voice. He saw an even larger demonic fog gushing out from the immemorial star and appearing in the starry sky above the 100 domains of the outer realm. In the demonic fog was an even larger sky demon army. In front of the sky demon army was a man wearing a ghost mask. His hands were behind his back as he looked down at Sha Sha indifferently. His eyes were calm, but they made Sha Sha feel endless fear. This man was so terrifying that he didn't dare to resist. Bang! Mo Suji was sent flying. After barely stabilizing his body, he saw the ghost mask man and quickly knelt down. Mo Suji greets my king. Sakura also stopped in his tracks. His blazing eyes stared straight at the man with a ghost face as his heart was filled with dread. He couldn't see through this ghost mask man at all. Chapter 4853. Heavenly Demon King. Zhu Huang's huge dragon tail destroyed several heavenly demons, and his eyes fell on the man with the ghost mask, his eyes full of horror. What? He was the Heavenly Demon King? The Lord of the Abyss and ancestor Tianju also took a few steps back, looking at the ghost mask man with fear. They had already learned from Zhu Huang that the Heavenly Demon King was the master of the heavenly demons, and his strength was extremely terrifying, far above the four chiefs. Moreover, the Heavenly Demon King basically did not participate in the war between gods and demons. If he directly participated, the immemorial gods would have been destroyed countless years ago. Heavenly Demon King, Sakyamuna's eyes were gloomy, and he looked coldly at the ghost mask man, the fear in his heart growing stronger. The Heavenly Demon King's indifferent eyes looked directly at Sakyamuni, and he said indifferently, "Interesting. The power in your body should be the origin of Qi, right? What a lucky guy, you can get the inheritance of the origin of Qi." Sakyamuni's pupils shrank. He did not expect the Heavenly Demon King to know about the origin of Qi. "Hand it over." The Heavenly Demon King said indifferently. Sakyamuni narrowed his eyes and sneered, "You want me to hand over the origin of Qi to you?" "Hand over the origin of Qi, and I can consider sparing your life and making you my slave." The Heavenly Demon King said calmly. Sakyamuni's smile became colder and colder. "Ha, you are really unreasonable. Do you really think you can win against me? You want me to hand over the origin of Qi and become your slave? Don't think that you are definitely not my opponent. I only need to send Mo Shuji to defeat you. To deal with you, I don't need to do it myself." The Heavenly Demon King said calmly. Sakyamuni was furious. He did not expect to be looked down upon by the Heavenly Demon King. With a roar, his body was covered with a layer of shining golden armor. Extremely arrogant. "I want you to die." Sakyamuni suddenly stepped forward, and a golden ripple swept out in all directions, while Sakyamuni rushed toward the Heavenly Demon King. Roar, roar, roar. The Heavenly Demon King was still standing calmly on the spot. He did not even need to make a move. The countless heavenly demon army behind him swept out in a frenzy, forming a terrifying black cloud that swept towards Sakyamuni. Sakyamuni snorted coldly and charged forward. The densely packed heavenly demon army was sent flying by Sakyamuni. "Emo Shuji, I will bestow upon you more power, so accept it well." Heaven Devil King flicked his finger, and several black crystals shot into the heart of Emo Shuji's brows. Emo Shuji did not resist. Instead, he accepted these black crystals and absorbed the terrifying demonic energy within them into his body. Emo Shuji raised his head to the sky and roared. His body instantly grew several times taller, like a small hill. The surface of his hard black skin was covered in spikes, making him look ferocious and terrifying. Emo Shuji's aura underwent another transformation, and his strength reached an astonishing level. He shot forward like a ray of light. At this moment, Sakyamuni had already scattered the heavenly demon army in front of him. He was about to attack the heavenly demon king, but his path was blocked by a huge body. Emo Shuji? Sakyamuni's eyes narrowed. He actually felt that Emo Shuji's strength had undergone another transformation. His aura actually moved him. Rumble! Emo Shuji's right fist smashed over. Wherever it passed, the starry sky exploded, black holes distorted, and laws collapsed. Sakyamuni's entire body was covered in golden light, and his right fist was also covered in golden light as he punched out. Bang bang bang! The two's fists met each other's flesh as they engaged in a fierce battle in the void. What made Sakyamuni's eyes turn gloomy was that Emo Shuji seemed to have undergone some sort of transformation. His strength had skyrocketed to the extreme, and he was actually on par with him. The Heavenly Demon King was truly amazing to be able to raise Emo Shuji's strength to such a level. Sakyamuni's eyes were cold as he thought to himself, "Unfortunately, Sakyamuni, have yet to unleash my full strength. Heavenly Demon King, don't underestimate me." Divine form of Chi. As he spoke, the vertical eye between Sakyamuni's brows suddenly split open, and a golden light burst out, enveloping his entire body. In an instant, Sakyamuni was filled with golden light, and 12 golden wings sprouted from his back. 81 crimson gold divine swords circled around him, spinning rapidly like the most loyal guards, protecting his body. Sakyamuni's aura had reached an extremely terrifying level. Divine sword. Indra's icy cold eyes shot out a dazzling golden light. With a flick of his finger, 81 crimson gold divine swords shot out horizontally, slashing towards Earth Demon Suji, who was pouncing towards him. Puchi! 81 golden swords instantly cut Emo Shuji into 81 pieces. Golden flames erupted from the swords, continuously burning Emo Shuji's flesh. However, Emo Shuji's regenerative ability was too strong. The moment he was cut into 81 pieces, his flesh immediately gathered back together, forming a complete body. Sakyamuni's eyes were calm as he pointed with his right hand. 81 golden swords frantically cut Emo Shuji into pieces. No matter how strong Emo Shuji's regenerative ability was, it was not faster than the speed of the golden swords. After entering the divine form of Chi, Sakyamuni's strength had reached an extremely terrifying level. Emo Shuji was no match for him. Bang! In the end, Emo Shuji could no longer regenerate and was burned to ashes by the blazing flames. Only a piece of flesh escaped and landed not far from the Heavenly Demon King. This piece of flesh slowly regenerated at an extremely fast speed, and with great difficulty, a head grew out. It was Emo Shuji's head. At this moment, Emo Shuji's eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Sakyamuni in disbelief. He did not expect that even though the Heavenly Demon King had bestowed him with such immense power, he was still almost killed by Sakyamuni. Interesting. The power of the three great origins indeed could not be underestimated. But you are still not my match. The Heavenly Demon King shook his head and lightly stepped out, instantly disappearing from the spot. So fast. Sakyamuni's pupils shrank. He actually did not realize how the Heavenly Demon King disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the Heavenly Demon King appeared in front of him and lightly flicked his right hand. Terrifying demonic energy gathered at the tip of the Heavenly Demon King's finger and shot out, ruthlessly slamming into Sakyamuni's chest. Sakyamuni groaned and retreated dozens of steps. The 81 golden swords in front of him were constantly trembling as if they were afraid of something. Die for me. Sakyamuni's eyes were sinister as the 12 divine wings on his back shot out 12 golden torrents, instantly enveloping the heavenly demon king. Meanwhile, Sakyamuni disappeared from the spot and entered the depths of the golden torrents, launching a fierce attack on the heavenly demon king. In less than 3 breaths of time, the golden torrents collapsed, and Sakyamuni was sent flying with a groan. Meanwhile, the heavenly demon king casually walked out from the collapsed golden torrents and stepped towards Sakyamuni. Chapter 48-54. Your cultivation level should have reached the perfected primordial realm. Unfortunately, you are still far from the ultimate primordial realm. You are far from being my match. The heaven demon king's gaze was cold. He took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of Sakyamuni. He gently struck out with his right palm. This palm strike was ordinary, but it contained some kind of mysterious power. Sakyamuni's expression changed drastically. He shouted and lined up the 81 crimson gold divine swords in front of him, forming a sword wall. The heaven demon king muttered softly. The sword wall formed by the 81 crimson gold divine swords collapsed, and the heaven demon king's palm gently landed on Sakyamuni's chest. Sakyamuni grunted. His sternum caved in, and his body exploded with a golden mist of blood. Don't look down on me. Sakyamuni's eyes erupted with intense anger. He hugged the heaven demon king's right palm with both hands. 12-winged divine slash. Sakyamuni roared. The 12 resplendent and mysterious divine wings on his back swept out and began to slash the heaven demon king crazily. In an instant, the heaven demon king was reduced to dust. But soon, Sakyamuni discovered with a gloomy expression that what he had slashed was only an illusion. The real heaven demon king had appeared behind Sakyamuni at some point in time and struck out with his palm again. Sakyamuni reacted extremely quickly. The 12 divine wings appeared behind him, forming a circular light wing shield. The light wing shield was extremely hard and actually blocked the heaven demon king's palm strike. Bang! Sakyamuni grunted and kept retreating. The 12 divine wings swept over and condensed behind him again. So that's how it is. The 12 divine wings behind you are the true power of the origin of Qi. No wonder your defense is so strong. However, how many of my moves can you block? The heaven demon king looked at the 12 divine wings behind Sakyamuni in surprise. He shook his head, and a pitch-black light shot out of his eyes. The heaven demon king took a step forward and attacked Sakyamuni again. Sakyamuni was completely suppressed and could only rely on his 12 divine wings to defend passively. No way! Isn't this heaven devil king too powerful? Sakyamuni was so strong, but he was completely suppressed by him, unable to fight back. Zhu Huang's pupils shrank to the size of needles. Just now, when Sakyamuni casually defeated Mo Shuji, he understood that Sakyamuni was not just a little bit stronger than them, but much stronger. But even so, Sakyamuni was in such a sorry state under the hands of the Heaven Devil King, unable to resist at all. The most miserable one was Bai. He had been pierced through by Heaven Devil King's spear and was nailed to the ground. No matter how he struggled, he was unable to break free. Patriarch Tianju had also stepped forward to help, but he was still unable to rescue Swanni. It was as if the spear had already merged with Swanni and could not be separated. On the other hand, Mo Suji and the rest of the heavenly demon army were all excited as they watched the intense battle in the starry sky. Kill all the living beings in the 100 outer realms, don't leave a single one alive. Mo Suji was finally relieved. He glared at Sakyamuni with hatred and gave the order to kill the heavenly demon army. The heavenly demon army naturally did not dare to disobey Mo Suji's order. Like locusts, they rushed downwards into the 100 outer realms. Let's stop the heavenly demon army together. Zhu Huang soared into the sky, his huge dragon body blocking the heavenly demon army. Patriarch Tianju and the Abyss Master followed closely behind, blocking the heavenly demon army that had broken through Zhu Huang's defenses. Don't get in the way. Mo Suji coldly snorted. He had already regrown his arms, so he only had a head and 2 arms. He rushed over and punched Zhu Huang. Zhu Huang screamed and fell from the starry sky, crashing heavily into the 100 outer realms. Although Mo Suji had been severely injured by Sakyamuni, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. He was still much stronger than Zhu Huang and the rest. Bastard! Patriarch Tianju and the Abyss Master were furious and rushed towards Mo Suji. The two of them were not Mo Suji's match at all. After being heavily injured by the latter, they also fell from the 100 outer realms. Damn it! If we don't stop these heavenly demon kings, the 100 outer realms will really be finished. Zhu Huang stood up with difficulty, but he quickly spat out a mouthful of blood and knelt on the ground again. Mo Suji did not hold back at all. This attack had already heavily injured Zhu Huang. If another attack came, Zhu Huang would probably die. Despicable heavenly demon army. After destroying the immemorial star system, you still dare to reach into the chaotic starry sky. Suddenly, a cold voice came from the depths of the starry sky. Then, a stalwart figure walked over step by step. Upon closer inspection, this person was extremely fat and was a typical fatty. However, he wore a purple gold crown on his head and exuded an unparalleled majesty. Behind this person, a powerful army swept over like a swarm of locusts. The two people in the lead were a blonde and a silver-haired beauty. You are the bastard who impersonated Lord Mo Jua. Tell me, where is Lord Mo Jua? The moment Mo Suji saw this fat figure, he immediately recognized the latter's identity. Back then, this person had impersonated Mo Jua and escaped into Sacred Star City in front of him. This guy really deserved to die. He actually dared to deceive him. This figure was none other than Ma Yujie. After he completely accepted the immemorial God King's inheritance and power, he immediately led the immemorial God army out of the primordial space. Although only 900 years had passed in the outside world, a full 90,000 years had passed in the primordial space. The immemorial gods that Zhuowen had brought into the primordial space had all learned something and become abnormally strong. This was especially true for Little Gold and Little Silver, who had become the leaders of this army. Little Gold, Little Silver. I'll leave the heavenly demon army to you. Ma Yujie looked at the two beauties beside him and said in a deep voice, "Don't worry. Leave it to us. We will definitely make the heavenly demon army pay the price." Little Gold patted her chest, but a cold, killing intent burst out from the depths of her eyes. Little Silver was also surging with killing intent. Go. Ma Yujie nodded. Little Gold and Little Silver led an army of 10 million primordial gods and charged into the 100 territories of the outer realms, fighting countless celestial demons. In an instant, the 100 territories became the main battlefield of the great war of gods and demons. The countless creatures in the 100 territories were evacuated by the Abyss Master and Patriarch Tianju, who had sensed that something was wrong. Bastard! Where is Lord Mo Jua? Tell me! Mo Shuji roared. Flesh and blood quickly grew all over his body, and blazing demonic energy erupted as he madly charged at Ma Yujie. Ma Yujie's gaze was calm. He gently stretched out his right hand and then slapped the void. A terrifying palm came from the void and directly suppressed Mo Shuji in the starry sky. The Mo Jua you speak of is not Mo Jua. His real name is Yun. Of course, he also has a pseudonym in the demonic language. I think you are not unfamiliar with the name of the demonic language, right? Ma Yujie said indifferently. Mo Shuji, who had been constantly struggling, was completely stunned. He muttered to himself, demonic language, Zhuan? Of course he knew about the demonic language. When he was still very weak in Burning Sky Star City, he had been a guide for the demonic language. At that time, the demonic language was a superior heavenly demon in his eyes, and his status was extremely noble. Mo Jua was the life mentor who gave him hope and taught him how to survive. In an instant, the two figures overlapped in his mind, and he was completely enlightened. So his name is Yun. He is the person my king is looking for, Mo Shuji muttered to himself, but he gave up resisting. He had completely lost his will to fight, and his eyes were lifeless and lost. Chapter 4855. Bang! In the depths of the starry sky, the Heaven Demon King and Sakyamuni's figures constantly intertwined. Every collision would erupt with unprecedented terrifying energy. Stars exploded one after another, and continents collapsed one after another. The starry sky was distorted and hollowed out. It looked extremely terrifying. The Heaven Demon King strolled leisurely. His feet stepped lightly, and terrifying black spears constantly condensed around his body. Demonic aura surged and shook one's soul. The black spears tore through the sky, tore through the starry sky, and destroyed the laws of nature. They constantly pierced into Sakyamuni's body. The 12 divine wings around Sakyamuni's body constantly resisted the attacks of the black spears. However, he was barely able to resist them, and his face was pale. The gap between him and the Heaven Demon King was simply too great. He had already used all his strength, but the Heaven Demon King seemed to be far from using all his strength. This made Sakyamuni's heart heavy. The heroic and arrogant feeling he had after obtaining the origin of Qi was completely wiped out. He finally knew that there was always someone better than him. Damn it! How can I die here? I haven't defeated Zhuoan, absorbed the other ultimate origins, and completely dominated the entire chaotic starry sky. How can I die? Sakyamuni let out an indignant roar. The 12 divine wings around him suddenly erupted with blazing golden light, and terrifying energy ripples constantly washed out. One after another, the black spears were annihilated by the crimson golden light. The Heaven Demon King exclaimed softly and couldn't help but take a few steps back. He looked at Sakyamuni. The golden light around Sakyamuni's body became more and more intense, and the light turned from golden to purplish golden. The 12 divine wings also kept increasing in number, becoming 36 purplish golden divine wings. This person's comprehension is really not bad. He actually comprehended the true power of the origin of Qi. The Heaven Demon King's gaze became serious, and the pitch-black light in his eyes became deeper. He clenched his right hand, and endless demonic aura condensed into a huge spear above the starry sky. It crossed the sky and stabbed straight at Sakyamuni. Break for me! At this moment, Sakyamuni seemed to have undergone some kind of transformation. 36 violet gold divine wings were on his back, and his entire body was surrounded by violet gold Qi, mysterious and powerful. Sakura suddenly blasted out a punch, slamming onto the tip of the spear. A terrifying explosion rang out as the spear directly exploded. Sakyamuni took a step forward and followed the endless energy dots of the spear. He instantly appeared in front of Heaven Demon King. His fists were like lightning as he continuously punched out. Fist shadows covered the surrounding space. The Heaven Devil King snorted coldly as black demonic shields condensed in front of him. However, they were constantly destroyed by the fist shadows as the Heaven Devil King kept retreating. This Sakyamuni really isn't simple. He actually comprehended the origin of energy to such a degree. Mayujia looked at the two people fighting in the depths of space, especially when he saw that Sakyamuni had the upper hand. He became wary of Sakyamuni. Divine Fist of Qi. Sakyamuni roared and punched out again. Terrifying fist shadows appeared in the void and swept over from all directions, smashing into Heaven Devil King's body. Then, Heaven Devil King's figure was completely submerged by the fist shadows, followed by a terrifying explosion of energy. So powerful! In the 100 domains outside the realm, the fierce battle between gods and demons was immediately attracted by the terrifying energy fluctuations in the depths of space. They all looked up. Seeing that Heaven Devil King was actually hit by Sakyamuni's attack, many of the Heaven Devil army immediately fell into chaos. Little Gold and Little Silver seized this opportunity and immediately gained the upper hand, allowing the Primordial God army to suppress the Heaven Devil army. It had to be said that not only were Little Gold and Little Silver powerful, but their talent in leading troops was also extremely powerful. Interesting. Sakyamuni, you are a little beyond my expectations. Your comprehension is indeed not bad. Unfortunately, you are still too weak. An indifferent voice came faintly from the starry sky. The fist shadows in the depths of space collapsed with a bang, and a figure slowly walked out. This figure was none other than Heaven Devil King. At this moment, Heaven Devil King's appearance had completely changed. Originally, he was wearing a black robe and a ghost mask, but now, the black robe on his body was completely replaced by a sinister black armor. The ghost mask on his face had turned into a sinister black mask, and his true appearance still couldn't be seen clearly. Only a pair of sharp and deep eyes were revealed. What? This guy? Sakyamuni's pupils shrank into needles, and his mind trembled. For the first time in his life, fear arose in his heart. Heaven Devil King was too powerful, so powerful that it made him afraid. Boom! Heaven Devil King lightly stomped his feet and instantly appeared in front of Sakyamuni. He ruthlessly punched out, and Sakyamuni's waist was hooked as he flew backward. So fast. Mayujia watched Heaven Devil King's movements with a grave expression. You are Sakyamuni, right? I am quite grateful to you for sending me the origin of Qi. If I can control this energy, I will be truly invincible. Heaven Devil King's cold voice sounded, and he appeared in front of Sakyamuni again. The latter immediately placed the 36 purple gold divine wings in front of him. Bang! Chapter 4856. The golden coffin was brought over by Mayujie from the primordial space. Back then, it had sealed the corpse of the primordial divine king. It was extremely sturdy, and its material was very special. After coming out of seclusion from the primordial space, Mayujie had already secretly planned to use the golden coffin to seal the Heaven Demon King. And now, his plan was going very smoothly. Brother Zhuo still hasn't come out of seclusion? Mayujie looked at the golden coffin that had already quieted down, and for some reason, he felt uneasy. He then looked at the huge primordial tree that spanned across the starry sky and muttered to himself. Back then, when Zhuan descended to the lower realms, he had said that he would accept the inheritance of the primordial tree. Now that the Heaven Demon King had begun to invade the 100 outer realms, Zhuan still hadn't appeared. Clearly, he hadn't completely accepted the inheritance of the primordial tree. The coffin of the primordial divine king should be able to successfully seal the Heaven Demon King, right? Mayujie muttered to himself with some uncertainty. Mayujie? I didn't expect you to also obtain an ultimate origin power. Did you deliberately use me as bait just now? Sakyamuni, who had 36 purple gold divine wings on his back, flew over in a rather sorry state. He floated not far away from Mayujie and said with a gloomy gaze. When Mayujie descended, he had already noticed the former. However, the former had been watching from the sidelines, waiting until he was beaten to an extremely sorry state by the Heaven Demon King before making a move. This made Sakyamuni extremely unhappy. You're not stupid. That was my plan. Unfortunately, it would have been great if the Heaven Demon King had killed you before revealing a flaw. But I couldn't wait until that time. It's really a pity. Mayujie shook his head and sighed unceasingly, causing Sakura to be furious in his heart. He wished he could slap this fatty wearing the violet gold divine crown to death with one slap. However, he still resisted the impulse. Mayujie's aura was very powerful, not weaker than his. In fact, it was even stronger. Sakyamuni had consumed too much energy after the battle with the Heaven Demon King, and his injuries had become extremely serious. If he fought with Mayujie in his current state, he probably wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Do you know where Zhuowen is? Sakyamuni asked coldly. Of course. Mayujie said indifferently. Where is he? Sakyamuni asked in a deep voice. Why should I tell you? Mayujie said with a grin. Sakyamuni was enraged. The 36 violet divine wings on his back emitted a blazing violet light. A terrifying aura burst forth, as if about to devour Mayujie. What? You want to fight? Come, I'm not afraid of you. Moreover, I've been annoyed by you for a long time. Do you believe that I'll beat you until you're looking for your teeth on the ground? Mayujie said casually. Sakyamuni trembled with anger, but he quickly calmed down. He realized that Mayujie was just trying to provoke him. Boom, boom. Suddenly, a violent explosion came from the golden coffin above the starry sky. The originally calm and steady golden coffin kept trembling. Heavenly Demon King Ma Yujie's expression changed drastically. He formed a seal with both hands and countless purple gold runes gushed out from his body, imprinting themselves onto the golden coffin and forcefully suppressing the trembling of the golden coffin. But to Ma Yujie's horror, the golden coffin did not stop trembling. Instead, it trembled even more violently. When Sakyamuni saw this, a fierce light burst out from the depths of his eyes. He wanted to attack Ma Yujie, but he looked at the golden coffin, thought for a moment, and suppressed the killing intent in his heart. Compared to Ma Yujie, he was more afraid of the Heavenly Demon King. Once the Heavenly Demon King was born, he and Ma Yujie might not be able to resist him. Tell me the incantation and I'll help you. Sakyamuni swept to the opposite side of Ma Yujie and said coldly. Ma Yujie looked at Sakyamuni in surprise. The latter said coldly, "The Heavenly Demon King is too powerful. Let's get rid of him first, and then I'll deal with you and Ju. What are you waiting for? Tell me the incantation." Ma Yujie nodded and taught the sealing incantation to Sakyamuni. Sakyamuni's comprehension was indeed very strong. He understood as soon as he heard it. He muttered the incantation and operated the power of the origin of Qi. Purple gold runes gushed out of his body and gathered with Ma Yujie's purple gold runes, attaching themselves to the surface of the golden coffin. The purple gold runes manifested by the two ultimate powers of the origin were extremely powerful. Like silk, they constantly wrapped around the golden coffin and wrapped it tightly. And the trembling of the golden coffin gradually subsided. Sakyamuni and Ma Yujie both breathed a sigh of relief. The moment they were about to stop, an earth-shattering explosion came from the golden coffin. Then the golden coffin completely deformed, twisted, and finally exploded. The purple gold runes that surrounded the golden coffin like cocoons all shattered and collapsed. What? The coffin of the primordial god king actually shattered? Ma Yujie could not believe it. He groaned and was forced back by the terrifying backlash. His face was pale as he stared at the broken golden coffin. Sakyamuni was not much better. Blood flowed from his mouth and nose. His face was pale as he kept retreating. From the huge gap in the golden coffin, huge pitch-black tentacles stretched out. A terrifying and ugly monster suddenly broke out of the coffin and appeared in the starry sky. This monster was too terrifying. Its body continued to expand, completely covering the sky above the 100 domains like a boundless black cloud. A terrifying demonic aura filled the entire chaotic starry sky, causing countless beings to feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. Our king had actually used his true body. These two people were really amazing. They had actually forced our king to use his true body. Emo Shuji was suppressed in the depths of the starry sky, unable to move. His eyes were filled with horror as he looked at the colossal monster. Although he had not been with the Heavenly Demon King for long, he had been taught many things by the latter, including the appearance of the Heavenly Demon King's true body. He knew that once the Heavenly Demon King revealed his true body, the latter would be truly enraged. For countless years, the Heavenly Demon King had never used his true body. This time, Ma Yujie and Sakyamuni had forced him to use his true body. It could be seen that these two were really amazing. This terrifying monster looked like an octopus. Its tentacles were larger than stars, and its surface was covered with ferocious barbs. At the core of the tentacles was a huge and strange baby. Its skin was greenish-black, and it looked strange and terrifying. The giant baby slowly opened its eyes. Its eyes were filled with a strange scarlet light, and they were filled with tyrannical and murderous intent. The two of you can die without regrets. You actually forced this king to use his true body. On the head of the giant baby stood a man wearing a devil mask. His cold eyes stared at Ma Yujie and Sakyamuni, and he was furious. He did not expect to fall into Ma Yujie's hands. If he had not used his true body's power, he would have been completely sealed in the golden coffin, and it would be difficult for him to escape. Therefore, the Heavenly Demon King was furious. There was no longer any peace in his eyes, only tyrannical killing intent. He wanted to kill Ma Yujie and Sakyamuni, the two people who had almost sealed him. Chapter 4857. What a terrifying aura. What kind of monster was this Heaven Demon King? How could he be so powerful? Zhu Huang stood in the distant sky and stared fixedly at the Heaven Demon King who had revealed his true form. His heart sank to the bottom. The Heaven Demon King's aura was too terrifying. Even though he was so far away, he could still feel the Heaven Demon King's destructive aura. This aura was enough to kill him easily. There was no need for the Heaven Demon King to do anything. Not only Zhu Huang, but the Lord of the Deep Abyss, Patriarch Tianzhu, and the others were also terrified. In front of the Heaven Demon King, they felt that they were too insignificant. They were even more insignificant than ants. Accept my punishment. The Heaven Demon King's murderous voice exploded in the starry sky. Boom, boom, boom. Tentacles fell like rain and swept toward Sakyamuni and Mayujia. Mayujia's purple-gold divine crown spewed out bright divine light, surrounding him in the center. Upon closer inspection, endless purple-gold saber shadows appeared in the divine light. Endless purple-gold saber shadows covered Sakyamuni's body, forming a sharp and powerful armor. However, this armor was too strange. It was completely formed by saber shadows. Countless saber blades were erected on the surface of the armor. They were sharp and dazzling. Mayujia quickly retreated. All the tentacles that approached him were cut into pieces by the saber shadows. However, more and more tentacles came like a tide, giving Mayujia great pressure. It was as if these tentacles were endless. On the other side, Sakyamuni's situation was not very good. It was even worse than Mayujia's. Mayujia's face was ugly. Endless purple-gold saber shadows swept out like a hurricane, cutting off all the tentacles around him. However, there were too many tentacles. They instantly spread around him and drowned him. Saber intent. Mayujia's cold voice sounded. Bright purple-gold divine light soared into the sky and pierced through the entire chaotic starry sky. Then, the endless tentacles surrounding Mayujia were all crushed into powder. Mayujia rushed out of the encirclement of tentacles. His eyes were as sharp as a saber. A huge purple-gold saber shadow appeared in the void behind him. Mayujia's aura had reached its peak. He was frantically receiving the power of the origin of form, hoping to use it to get rid of the Heaven Demon King. The huge purple-gold saber shadow cut across the starry sky was slashing of the Heaven Demon King. This saber strike was too terrifying. The blazing purple-gold light illuminated the entire starry sky, as if it was going to cut the entire starry sky in half. Many people were in high spirits when they saw this scene. This was because they realized that wherever the purple-gold blade shadow passed, the tentacles were constantly being destroyed. Divine form of Qi, bird of light, bird of light. The moment Sakura saw Mayujia's move, he was enlightened and connected with the origin of Qi. His right hand suddenly struck out a seal. The 12 divine wings on his back swept out, turning into a massive bird of light in the depths of the starry sky. This bird of light was no smaller than Mayujia's purple-gold saber shadow. It covered the sky and the sun. There were 12 divine wings on its back, emitting an immortal radiance. The purple-gold saber shadow came from the east, while the huge light bird flew from the west. They were extremely fast. Before anyone could react, the two attacks landed on the Heaven Demon King. Then, the entire starry sky fell into a strange silence. The place where the Heaven Demon King was completely drowned by the blazing white light. However, the white light became more and more intense. In the end, it spread across the entire starry sky. What followed was an earth-shattering explosion. Not good. It's too terrifying. If we don't run, we'll all die. The primordial gods and primordial heavenly demons who were fighting in the 100 domains all felt a strong sense of danger. They all stopped fighting and frantically fled into the depths of the starry sky. Little Gold and Little Silver's expressions changed slightly. They immediately led the primordial gods and retreated in an orderly manner. On the other hand, the heavenly demon army had no commander to hold them down. They were all frantically running for their lives without any discipline. Instead, many heavenly demons died at the hands of their own race as they fled. Soon, the terrifying explosion continued to spread. It wouldn't be long before the entire 100 domains was completely annihilated and disappeared from this starry sky. Not only were the primordial gods and heavenly demons fleeing, but Zhu Huang and the others were also fleeing with the living beings of the 100 domains. Tianzhu, what are you doing? Why aren't you fleeing? Zhu Huang and the Abyss Master couldn't help but shout when they saw that Patriarch Tianzhu wasn't fleeing. Instead, he was heading toward the gradually collapsing 100 domains. Take the living beings of the 100 domains and flee. There are some grievances that I need to settle with Tao Wu. Patriarch Tianzhu turned his head and smiled at the two of them. He took a step forward and instantly disappeared into the 100 domains. Zhu Huang and the Abyss Master sighed softly. They could vaguely guess Patriarch Tianzhu's thoughts. They didn't say anything and silently led countless living beings into the depths of the starry sky. To be more precise, countless living beings, primordial gods, and heavenly demons were fleeing in the direction of the primordial tree. That was the safest place in the starry sky. In the 100 domains, Tao Wu lay quietly on the ground. The black spear was still stuck in his chest. The heavenly demon king's power was too terrifying. No one could pull out the spear. He could only lie there with his eyes closed and wait for death. Who would have thought? Tao Wu was about to die after making some achievements in cultivation. Who would have thought that he would have some achievements? In the end, what was the difference between before and now? Tao Wu's eyes calmed down as he looked at the explosive energy that continued to spread from the sky. At this moment, he completely let go of all his hatred and grievances and recalled everything that had happened in the past. Although he hated Patriarch Tianzhu, he was also very grateful to him. If he hadn't followed Patriarch Tianzhu back then, he wouldn't have had such a wonderful time of conquest. At least, he lived with a goal and motivation during that time. He even made a group of like-minded friends. However, those friends gradually passed away. Even among the 5 strongest people, only Tianzhu was left. He hated Tianzhu because Tianzhu was his last friend and also because he schemed to imprison him in the death prison. However, he knew that Tianzhu still had feelings for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't just imprison him in the death prison but kill him directly. There's a difference. At least we see hope. After this battle, the chaotic starry sky might usher in a different peace from our era. Patriarch Tianzhu slowly landed beside Tao Wu. He raised his head and looked at the white light that was getting closer and closer. Tianzhu? Why aren't you running for your life? What are you doing here? Tao Wu's expression changed slightly as he said in a deep voice. Running for my life? I won't run anymore. If I run again, I'll be completely alone. Old friend, my mission has been completed. I'll accompany you on this final journey. Patriarch Tianzhu lowered his head and looked at Tao Wu with a smile. Tao Wu was stunned. His gaze was complicated, but he felt very upset. I'm sorry. Back then, for the sake of the overall situation, I imprisoned you in the death prison, needless to say. I understand everything. In an instant, the white light enveloped the entire 100 domains. The huge domain collapsed and turned into dust in the blink of an eye. Chapter 4858. In the starry sky near the primordial tree, figures flashed over and looked in the direction of the 100 territories. Whether it was the primordial gods, the heavenly demon army, or the beings of the 100 territories, they were all waiting for the result of Sakyamune and Ma Yujie's joint attack. Was the heavenly demon king really completely destroyed by the two of them? Why did Tianzhu do this? The Abyss Master sighed. This was Tianzhu's choice, and we can't interfere. Perhaps this is a kind of relief for him. Zhu Huang murmured softly. He didn't know what kind of grudge existed between Patriarch Tianzhu and Bai. But in the face of life and death, grudges were actually nothing. The explosion lasted for 10 days and 10 nights before gradually extinguishing. When everyone thought that the heavenly demon king had died in the explosion, they were shocked to find that there was a huge black egg at the core of the explosion. The surface of this huge egg was covered with dense demonic runes that looked extremely strange. The moment Sakyamune and Mayuja saw this huge egg, their pupils shrank to the size of needles, and a strong sense of foreboding swept over their hearts. Suddenly, countless cracks appeared on the surface of the huge egg and then slowly split open. A terrifying pressure instantly filled the entire starry sky. "I still underestimated you." An indifferent voice resounded from the huge black egg, and a greenish-black arm stretched out. The surface of the arm was covered with dense and strange demonic inscriptions. The demonic inscriptions flickered with a mysterious purple light. "Is this guy an unkillable cockroach?" That was already the strongest attack I could mobilize with the origin of Qi, and even with Ma Yujie joining forces, we still couldn't kill him. Sakyamuni's pupils shrank, and despair rose in his heart. "I must run." Sakyamuni completely lost his will to fight. The 12 divine wings on his back erupted with blazing flames, and he quickly escaped into the crack in the starry sky, fleeing into the depths of the endless space. The heavenly demon king was too powerful, and he was completely scared out of his wits. He knew that he couldn't stay here any longer, or he would die without a doubt. This guy, Mayujia's face turned ugly when he saw Sakyamuni decisively fleeing. Escape? Can he escape? The black egg was completely shattered. Countless fragments of the egg erupted with purplish-black light and entered the space crack. A well-proportioned figure slowly walked out of the giant egg. This figure was covered in armor with countless veined patterns. His face was covered with a purple veined mask, revealing a pair of purple eyes that flickered with a terrifying light. Mayujie's eyes were full of vigilance. For some reason, the figure in front of him gave him a very familiar feeling. Suddenly, a painful groan came from the depths of the space. Then, Sakyamuni's battered figure flew out. In front of him were countless fragments of the giant egg, which continuously attacked him. "You can't escape." The Heaven Demon King grinned. With a light stomp of his foot, his figure immediately disappeared. So fast? Mayujie was shocked. Then, the Heavenly Demon King appeared behind Sakyamuni. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched out. Heaven Devil King's speed was too fast. By the time Sakyamuni reacted, the terrifying fist force had already landed on his spine. What? Sakyamuni spat out a mouthful of blood. He was shocked to find that the 12 divine wings covering his body had already cracked. They were actually unable to completely block the Heaven Demon King's attack. Bang, bang, bang. The Heaven Demon King grinned and punched out. Every punch contained the power to tear apart the galaxy. Sakyamuni passively resisted. In the blink of an eye, the 12 divine wings around Sakyamuni were covered in cracks. They completely collapsed and shattered into countless fragments. The Heaven Demon King's fist came horizontally and instantly pierced through Sakyamuni's chest and came out from his back. Damn it, damn it. Sakyamuni's eyes were red as he stared at the Heaven Demon King. He really didn't expect that after inheriting the origin of Qi, he would actually lose so miserably and even be in danger of losing his life. What a good expression. The Heaven Demon King grabbed Sakyamuni's head with his left hand and lifted him up. A mocking smile appeared on his face. "After killing you and seizing the origin of Qi in your body, my strength will improve further." As the Heaven Demon King spoke slowly, his right fist suddenly smashed towards Sakyamuni's face. Mayujie soared through the sky and once again used the blade intent of form to slash at the Heaven Demon King. The Heaven Demon King snorted coldly. The fist force on his right hand changed and blasted toward the huge purple-gold saber shadow behind him. The terrifying purple-gold saber shadow was actually blasted into powder by the Heaven Demon King's punch. It was completely unable to withstand a single blow. Mayujie's pupils constricted, but his reaction was extremely fast. With the help of the origin of form, he condensed saber shadows and crazily slashed at the Heaven Demon King. The Heaven Demon King grabbed Sakyamuni's head with his right hand and spread his left palm forward. A terrifying demonic power formed a faint black shield in front of him. Then Mayujie was shocked to discover that the saber shadows he slashed out were all blocked by the faint black shield. The Heaven Demon King strolled over leisurely. He broke through the saber shadows and instantly arrived in front of Mayujie. He suddenly punched Mayujie's chest and abdomen. Mayujie spat out a mouthful of blood and bent his back. However, he roared and grabbed with his right hand. A resplendent divine saber appeared and slashed at the Heaven Demon King's head. Clang. However, to his shock, the Heaven Demon King's head was as hard as iron. His divine saber could not cut through it at all. How can you be so strong? Mayujie was completely shocked. After he and Sakyamuni absorbed the origin power, their cultivation had reached the perfected primordial realm in one fell swoop. This realm originally stood at the peak of the chaotic starry sky. In his opinion, the Heaven Demon King should also be at this realm. However, he now understood that he was completely wrong. The Heaven Demon King was too strong, so strong that it made him despair. This fellow had probably already surpassed the primordial realm and reached a mysterious realm that even he did not know about. After absorbing the origin power in your bodies, I should be able to completely reach the grand supreme realm. The Heaven Demon King muttered to himself. His left hand formed a claw and grabbed Mayujie's head. Terrifying demonic power surged in, imprisoning Mayujie's entire body. Just like that, the Heaven Demon King grabbed Sakyamuni's head with his right hand and Mayujie's head with his left hand. He hovered in the starry sky, wild and domineering. It's over. Even Mayujie and Sakyamuni were no match for the Heaven Demon King. This starry sky was really finished. Little Gold and Little Silver's expressions changed drastically as they looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. As for the many primordial gods and living beings of the 100 outer realms, despair rose in their eyes. The Heaven Demon King was too powerful. Even Sakyamuni and Mayujie had lost. Who else in this starry sky could fight him? There was still hope. Zhou Xiaoyu will be able to turn the tide once he comes out of seclusion. Zhu Huang said firmly. There was no hope. Mayujie and Sakyamuni were two of the 3 heaven-chosen children. Even if they joined forces, they were still no match for the Heaven Demon King. If Zhou Xiaoyu comes out of seclusion, I'm afraid. The Abyss Master smiled bitterly. Zhu Huang frowned slightly, but he fell silent. Chapter 4859. At this moment, the chaotic starry sky was silent. Whether it was the immemorial gods, the heavenly demon army, or the creatures of the 100 territories, they all looked at the Heavenly Demon King in horror. The Heavenly Demon King grabbed Sakyamuni with his right hand and Mayujie with his left hand, and began to absorb the origin energy in their bodies. If one looked carefully, they could see that the purple gold divine crown on Mayujie's head and the 12 divine wings on Sakyamuni's back were quickly dimming. The purple gold divine crown represented the origin of form in Mayujie's body, and the 12 divine wings represented the origin of chi in Sakyamuni's body. When the two were completely absorbed by the Heavenly Demon King, the purple gold divine crown and the 12 divine wings would completely disappear. Damn it! I can't break free. Sakyamuni kept struggling, but he found that his whole body was imprisoned by the Heavenly Demon King's terrifying demonic power, and he couldn't break free at all. How can I die here? I haven't ruled the starry sky yet, and I haven't killed Zhuoan with my own hands. How can I die like this? Sakyamuni clenched his fists tightly, but his consciousness gradually blurred. He was very unwilling to die. Mayujie was also in a bad state. He could easily feel that the origin energy in his body was quickly draining away. Your Majesty! Little Gold and Little Silver's eyes turned red. They shouted and rushed toward the Heavenly Demon King crazily with a group of immemorial gods. Let's go too! Now Mayujie and Sakyamuni are the only existences in the chaotic starry sky who can fight against the Heavenly Demon King. We can't let the Heavenly Demon King absorb the origin energy in their bodies. Otherwise, even if Zhuoan comes out of seclusion, he may not be the Heavenly Demon King's opponent. Zhu Huang's eyes were filled with determination. He turned around and looked at the many creatures outside the 100 territories. He shouted, "Everyone, this is the moment of life and death. If the Heavenly Demon King wins, we will all die. If we don't fight now, when will we? Please give up your lives and come with me. Even if it's like a moth flying into a flame, we won't hesitate. This battle doesn't only belong to Mayujie and Sakyamuni, it belongs to all of us. Of course, if you don't want to follow me, you can stay here. I won't force you." After saying that, Zhu Huang did not say anything else. Instead, he leaped into the air and transformed into a huge golden dragon. He soared into the sky and flew toward the Heaven Demon King. The Lord of the Abyss followed closely behind. His eyes were also filled with determination, and he was already prepared to die. Lord Zhu Huang is right. This battle belongs to all of us. Now that Ma Yujie and Sakyamune are trapped, we can't just stand by and watch. Charge. Kill. Countless living beings in the 100 domains of the outer realms abandoned their prejudices and hatred and united together. They only had one belief in their hearts, and that was to protect this starry sky and not let the Heaven Demon King succeed. A bunch of ants. The Heavenly Fiend King, who was originally focused on absorbing the origin power in Ma Yujie and Sakyamune's bodies, raised his head as if he sensed something. He looked at the ancient gods and living beings of the 100 outer regions. Overconfident, the Heaven Demon King coldly snorted. He waved his right hand, and a terrifying and enormous pitch-black energy swept out at an incredible speed. This force was too terrifying. Everywhere it passed, the starry sky exploded apart, and numerous terrifying and savage rifts were formed in the starry sky. Little Gold and Little Silver's expressions changed slightly, but they reacted extremely quickly. They arranged their troops and barely dodged this attack, but they also lost many ancient gods. Continue. Little Gold and Little Silver seemed to have gone crazy. They led the other ancient gods around the cracks in the starry sky and approached the Heaven Demon King. Meanwhile, Zhu Huang used his speed to carry countless living beings of the 100 outer regions away from the Heaven Demon King's attack and approached from another direction. Little Gold, Little Silver. You are not his match. Don't come over. Ma Yujie's expression changed slightly as he shouted to stop them. Your Majesty! If you die, what's the point of us ancient gods living? You are the hope of us ancient gods. We can all die, but you can't. Little Gold's gaze was resolute. Her long golden hair burst forth with resplendent light. Countless golden strands of hair surrounded her like steel needles, forming a sturdy defense. Little Silver was the same. The group of ancient gods behind them all had resolute gazes and were fearless. A bunch of ants. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? The Heaven Demon King was a little angry. He didn't expect these ants that he could casually crush to death would actually not be afraid of death. The Heaven Demon King gently stepped forward, and countless black tentacles stretched out from the void and crazily attacked the ancient gods and living beings of the 100 outer regions. The tentacles instantly wrapped around the ancient gods and living beings of the 100 outer regions. With a fierce force, many living beings were torn to pieces. But whether it was the ancient gods or the living beings of the 100 outer regions, there was no fear in their eyes. Everyone had to die. It could be as light as a feather or as heavy as Mount Tai. Since they would die in the end, they would rather die heroically in the final battle. Were these ants really not afraid of death? The Heaven Demon King narrowed his eyes. Most of his attention was focused on absorbing Ma Yujie and Sakyamune. He could only divide a small portion of his attention to deal with the ancient gods and living beings of the 100 outer regions. Otherwise, with his strength, he could wipe out all these ants in one move. Zhu Huang instantly charged over, his huge dragon tail swinging horizontally at the Heaven Demon King's face. The Lord of the Abyss followed closely behind, holding a halberd in his right hand and stabbing at the back of the Heaven Demon King's head. Little Gold and Little Silver held the gold and silver swords respectively, stabbing at the Heaven Demon King's chest and back. Ding ding ding. The attacks of the four landed on the Heaven Demon King, but they realized that they couldn't break through the Heaven Demon King's surface defense at all. Ants also want to fight against an elephant? They were really courting death. Demonic chi erupted from the Heaven Demon King's body like a torrent. Zhu Huang, the Lord of the Abyss, Little Gold and Little Silver were sent flying, vomiting blood continuously. The difference was too great. The Heaven Demon King had only erupted with demonic chi, and the four of them were seriously injured and on the verge of death. However, this also caused the Heaven Demon King to divide part of his attention to deal with the four of them, and for a moment he neglected Ma Yujie and Sakyamune. Heaven Demon King. Die for me. The 12 divine wings on Sakyamuni's back condensed in his palm and fiercely punched at the Heaven Demon King's chest. Mayujie also borrowed the power of the purple gold divine crown to punch at the Heaven Demon King's chest. Bang! With a muffled groan, the Heaven Demon King retreated continuously, a crack appearing on his chest. Mayujie and Sakyamune took this opportunity to break free from the Heaven Demon King's imprisonment. You can't escape. The Heaven Demon King steadied himself, and countless phantom tentacles wrapped around Mayujie and Sakyamune. The Heaven Demon King quickly rushed toward Sakyamune. I'll kill you first, then that fatty. The Heaven Demon King instantly appeared in front of Sakyamune. His right hand formed a claw and directly pierced through Sakyamune's chest. Puchi! Sakyamune spat out a mouthful of blood, and the 12 divine wings on his back gradually dimmed as he stared at the Heaven Demon King. What a wonderful energy! After absorbing your origin of chi, I'm one step closer to Tai. The Heaven Demon King's eyes revealed joy. Chapter 4860. Bastard! Even if I die, I won't let you seize all of my origin energy. You don't deserve to have it. Sakyamune's eyes revealed a ruthless look. He actually burned his blood essence, divine power, and origin energy, and his aura instantly rose. Break for me. Sakyamune ignored the Heaven Devil King's claw that had pierced through his chest and punched at the Heaven Devil King's face. The Heaven Devil King was caught off guard and was sent flying, spitting out a mouthful of black blood. You actually burned your blood essence, divine power, and origin energy. Are you courting death? The Heaven Devil King looked at Sakyamune solemnly. Sakyamune charged at the Heaven Devil King like a madman. He only wanted to kill the Heaven Devil King now. Bang! 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 Sakyamune and the Heaven Devil King fought, setting off explosions in the starry sky. The two of them fought more and more intensely. Mayujie, who had been trapped, also regained his freedom. Your Majesty! Are you all right? Little Gold and Little Silver dragged their heavily injured bodies to Mayujie's side and asked. I won't die. Mayujie slowly stood up. The purple gold divine crown on his head began to burn with a strange purple gold flame. Your Majesty! You also plan to burn your origin energy? Little Gold and Little Silver's expressions changed drastically. Even Sakyamune dared to do this. Why wouldn't I dare? Mayujie smiled and soared into the sky. His entire body was covered in blazing purple gold flames as he charged at the Heaven Devil King. At this moment, Mayujie's aura was growing stronger and stronger, almost breaking through the shackles of this starry sky and causing the surrounding starry sky to collapse. Burning his origin energy had given him far too much power. In truth, it had far exceeded the limits of what he could bear. When Mayujie arrived at the battlefield of the Heaven Devil King and Sakyamune, his 7 orifices were already bleeding, and cracks were gradually appearing on the surface of his body. At this moment, the Heaven Devil King was suppressed by Sakyamune, but Sakyamune's condition was very bad. Not only was he bleeding from his 7 orifices, but his entire body was also cracking. Blood was gushing out, but Sakyamune's aura was becoming more and more terrifying. Mayujie held the purple gold divine saber with both hands and slashed out horizontally. Heaven Devil King couldn't dodge in time, and a huge wound appeared on his back. Demonic blood dyed the starry sky red. Heaven Devil King was furious. Just as he was about to turn around and attack Mayujie, Sakyamune's right fist smashed into his face, causing his skull to cave in. However, the Heaven Devil King's recovery ability was too abnormal. Mayujie and Sakyamune had caused him such serious injuries, but he recovered very quickly. Bang bang bang! Sakyamune and Mayujie crazily attacked Heaven Devil King, completely suppressing him. From afar, the injuries on Heaven Demon King's body were becoming more and more terrifying. Even his head had been chopped off by Mayujie. However, what made Sakyamune and Mayujie's hearts heavy was that no matter how terrifying the injuries they inflicted on the Heaven Devil King were, the latter could quickly recover. He was like an unkillable cockroach. Puchi! Sakyamune sent Heaven Devil King flying with a punch, and endless blood mist burst out from his body. He knelt on one knee in the starry sky, and his breathing became hurried. The power obtained by burning his origin power was too terrifying. His body was almost unable to withstand it. Mayujia was the same. His flesh and blood kept collapsing, and countless drops of divine blood splattered out. He looked very miserable. Heaven Devil King was also miserable. His body was covered in wounds, and there was almost no part of him that was intact. Interesting. You can actually obtain such terrifying power by burning your origin power. Unfortunately, that's all you have. Heaven Devil King stepped forward step by step, and the injuries on his body quickly healed. He instantly rushed in front of Sakyamuni and pointed his right finger at Sakyamuni's glabella. Sakyamuni's body was bathed in blood, and his breathing was hurried. He wanted to resist, but he couldn't use any strength. He had already reached his limit. Was he going to die like this? Sakyamuni's consciousness gradually blurred. The origin of chi in his body was gradually stripped away by Heaven Devil King. The moment the origin of chi was completely stripped away by Heaven Devil King, Sakyamuni let out a shrill scream. Was this the core of the origin of chi? Heaven Devil King looked at the ball of chi that was emitting light floating in his palm, and the corners of his mouth revealed a hint of a smile. Next would be the source of form. Heaven Devil King looked at Mayujia, who was also motionless not far away, and the smile on his face became even wider. After Sakyamuni lost his origin of chi, his entire body rapidly withered. His aura gradually weakened, and the aura of death increased. Clearly, Sakyamuni was not far from death. His life was about to come to an end. Mayujia's expression changed drastically. His condition was slightly better than Sakyamuni's, but it was also difficult for him to resist Heaven Devil King. And if the origin of form in his body was also stripped away, even if he didn't die, he would be completely crippled. The moment Heaven Devil King's finger touched Mayujia's glabella, a terrifying aura suddenly came from afar. Heaven Devil King's pupils constricted, and he couldn't help but look at the source of the aura. He saw the primordial tree that stretched across the sky. At this moment, the primordial tree trembled slightly, emitting a mysterious purple light. The countless purple leaves hanging on the tree fell one after another, and they quickly floated up and gathered together like a purple dragon. At the center of the purple leaves, a figure slowly appeared. This person was not old, and he looked to be in his 20s. He was dressed in black, and his entire body emitted a bright purple light. On his glabella, a light pattern of the primordial tree slowly emitted a faint light. Jua Xiaoyu. In the starry sky, countless gazes gathered on the youth surrounded by purple leaves, and they all recognized the latter's identity. Mayujia's eyes lit up, and he was slightly delighted. Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, Little Gold, Little Silver, and the others were also delighted. Sakyamuni, on the other hand, looked deeply at Zhuowen with a complicated gaze. Jun. Heaven Devil King's gaze instantly froze when he saw the youth emitting purple light, and he revealed a confused and complicated expression. Lord Emojua. Far in the starry sky, Missouri Shuji, who had been rescued by the Heaven Devil army, also recognized Zhuowen. Although Zhuowen had returned to his original appearance, his aura could not be changed. Emo Shuji could sense that the youth in front of him was Earth Demon Zhua from before. Sakyamuni instantly burst forth with the last of his vitality and charged toward Heaven Devil King, snatching the origin of Chi Core from the latter's hand. You're courting death. Heaven Devil King came back to his senses, and he was furious. He grabbed Sakyamuni's neck, and his claw pierced through Sakyamuni's chest once more. However, Sakyamuni was completely unaware, and he held the origin of Chi Core tightly in his hand. The origin of Chi is mine. This is the only power I have to fight Zhuowen. How can I lose it just like that? Sakyamuni spat out a mouthful of blood, but his eyes were full of fighting spirit as he looked at Zhuowen. Our battle is not over yet. Do you dare to fight me this time? Sakyamuni let out a shocking roar. His vitality was rapidly depleting, but the fighting spirit in his eyes was burning more and more fiercely. Zhuowen sighed softly, and with a stomp of his foot, he disappeared from the spot and appeared in front of Heaven Devil King, his right palm striking out. Heaven Devil King's pupils shrank, and he turned around to punch back. When the fist and palm collided, Heaven Devil King's expression changed drastically, and he could not help but groan, retreating hundreds of millions of miles away. Meanwhile, Juan silently appeared in front of Sakyamuni. "I accept your challenge." Juan looked at Sakyamuni seriously. Sakyamuni smiled, and the fighting spirit in his eyes slowly dissipated, and his gaze gradually dimmed. "If there is an afterlife, I will definitely kill you. So, don't die. Your life can only be taken by me." Sakyamuni handed the origin of Chi core to Juan with difficulty, and his body slowly dissipated, turning into countless light spots. Disciple, far away in the starry sky, Yuansheng looked at Sakyamuni, who had turned into countless light spots, and his eyes were filled with sorrow as he softly called out to Sakyamuni. Chapter 4861. If there is an afterlife, I will accept your challenge. Juan looked at the origin of energy core in his hand and sighed softly. He did not expect that Sakyamuni's obsession with him was so deep that he was still thinking about fighting with him before his death. Although Sakyamuni had committed heinous crimes and done many things that angered the heavens, he was indeed protecting the 100 territories in this final battle. "Brother Ma, are you okay?" Juan walked in front of Ma Yujie and helped him up as he asked in a low voice. "I won't die yet." Ma Yujie shook his head and looked at Juan with a complicated gaze. He continued, "The aura on your body is so strange that I can't see through it. Have you inherited the origin of matter?" "I gave up the origin of matter, because I found my own path and comprehended my own Tao." Juan smiled. Ma Yujie's pupils constricted. He did not expect that Juan would actually give up the origin of matter, but he could not see through Juan's realm. What realm had the latter reached? "Brother Jua, what realm are you at now?" Ma Yujie thought for a moment and could not help but ask curiously. "The essence of Tao cannot be shaped, nor can it be named. Strength is the name of Tai. My Tao is called Tai, so my realm is called the Tai realm." Juan said slowly. "Tai realm? So there really is such a realm in this world." Ma Yujie muttered to himself, his eyes revealing shock. His realm was not much different from Sakyamuni, both of them at the perfected primordial realm, and the heavenly demon king should be between the perfected primordial realm and the Tai realm. As for the Tai realm, Ma Yujie had heard in the memories of the primordial divine king in his previous life that this realm was the realm at the beginning of the chaos, the beginning of all things, the foundation of all sections. It was said that only by comprehending the true Tao could one reach this realm and have the power to stand on equal footing with the chaos. This power was truly a power that could change the entire world. It was a power that surpassed everything else. Ma Yujie had always thought that this realm was only a legend because no one had ever reached it since the beginning of the chaos. Once someone reached it, they would possess the power to change the situation of the world. But now, someone had achieved it, and that person was Juan. I finally found you. Do you know how many years I've been looking for you?" The Heaven Devil King laughed loudly. His entire body was filled with devil chi as he descended in front of Jun. His pair of eyes stared straight at Jun. His eyes were filled with a complicated and longing expression. "Why are you looking for me? Have you ever thought about it after all these years?" Jun calmly stared at the Heaven Devil King and asked a question that made the latter's expression change drastically. "That's right." He had been searching for Juan for countless years, so why was he looking for him? The only impression he had of Juan was that glimpse of him falling into the long river of time from the primordial tree. However, it was that glimpse that gave him an infinite impulse to find Juan. This goal had always run through the Heaven Devil King's life, and all of his actions were carried out with this goal as the foundation. Now, he had destroyed the primordial star system and almost destroyed the chaotic starry sky. In the end, he had found Juan, whom he had always been looking for. However, Juan's question had completely stunned him. It caused him to be bewildered, puzzled, and even pained. "Thus, kill you. I'm looking for you to kill you with my own hands. That's why I'm looking for you." The Heaven Devil King's eyes immediately turned red. He let out a shocking roar and charged crazily at Jun. Monstrous devil chi surged out of his body and enveloped more than half of the starry sky. Moreover, the devil chi became more and more blazing and terrifying, as if it was going to devour the entire chaotic starry sky. How terrifying! The Heaven Devil King is actually stronger than before. Ma Yujia looked at the Heaven Demon King, who was in a state of madness, with fear in his eyes. Even if he were to fight the Heaven Devil King at his peak, he was no match for him and might even be killed by the Heaven Devil King. Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, Little Gold, Little Silver, and the others all looked terrified. At the same time, they looked at Jun with worry. The Heaven Devil King was too strong. Was Jun really a match for him? Jun died. As long as you die, my search for you for so many years will be meaningful. The Heaven Devil King seemed to have gone crazy. He rushed in front of Zhuowen in an instant and put his palms together in the void. Instantly, the space around Zhuowen exploded, and a huge demonic coffin appeared and enveloped Zhuowen. Demonic coffin burial. The Heaven Devil King's cold voice rang out. Strange long sabers appeared on the surface of the huge demonic coffin and then stabbed into the demonic coffin. Oh no! Brothers! Ma Yujia's face changed. The Heaven Devil King's move was too terrifying. He and Sakyamune had never used it before. It was probably one of his most powerful moves. Just the long sabers on the surface of the demonic coffin emitted a demonic aura that made Ma Yujia tremble in fear. Now, all of them had stabbed into the demonic coffin. Then, how could Zhuowen, who was trapped in the demonic coffin, survive? Boom! Just as everyone was in despair, the terrifying demonic coffin exploded and Jun slowly walked out of it. Heaven Devil King. The gap between our levels is too big. You are no match for me. Jun walked toward the Heaven Devil King step by step. His expression was calm and unruffled, as if the Heaven Devil King's move just now was just a tickle to him. So powerful. Ma Yujia's pupils shrank, and he was immediately overjoyed. Zhuowen's strength was completely beyond his expectations. It seemed that this time he should be in the bag. Tai realm? How is that possible? You should be the same as Ma Yujia and Sakyamune, only inheriting one kind of origin power. How can you reach the Tai realm? The Heaven Devil King's face completely changed. Nothing, the beginning of all things. I was born without a Tao root, so I am compatible with the Tao of the beginning of all things. Therefore I comprehended the Tao, crossed the primordial era, and reached the Tai realm. In my eyes, what's the difference between the three ultimate origins and other things? And I don't need to borrow that kind of power. Yuan didn't stop and continued to walk toward the Heaven Devil King. At this moment, the Heaven Devil King felt a sense of fear, a fear that came from the depths of his heart. Heaven Devil Hand. Holy Devil Evil Flame. Devil Soul Abyss Sea. The Heavenly Devil King began to unleash his trump card in a frenzy. Streaks of terrifying devil divine abilities blasted toward Zhuowen like a torrent. However, these devilish abilities seemed to have been neutralized by some kind of power when they struck Zhuowen's body, and they all dissipated. Heaven Devil King. Have you ever thought about the meaning of your birth in this world? Zhuowen was still closing in on the Heaven Demon King. His eyes were still calm, but there was also a hint of pity in them. Meaning? The Heaven Devil King kept retreating. When he heard this, his body stiffened, and the confusion in the depths of his eyes became stronger. My meaning is to kill you. Yes, it's to kill you, then unify the entire world, and make all living beings crawl under my feet. The Heaven Devil King's face became especially ferocious. He roared fiercely, but he no longer retreated. Instead, he began to charge toward Zhuowen crazily. The meaning of his birth was to kill Zhuowen. As long as he could kill Zhuowen, then everything he had done would be meaningful. Therefore, why did he retreat? He only needed to kill Zhuowen. The Heaven Devil King got closer and closer to Zhuowen. The devil chi all over his body became more and more intense, and his devil might became more and more terrifying. The entire starry sky was affected by him, and it was filled with endless devil shadows. Zhuan slowly stretched out his right hand and gently pushed it forward, landing on the Heaven Devil King's chest. The Heaven Devil King's extremely fast speed instantly stopped, and his body turned from extreme movement to extreme stillness. As for Zhuan's palm, it landed on his chest and began to push into his body inch by inch. He could clearly hear the crisp sound of his sternum collapsing and shattering. In the end, Zhuan's palm pierced through the Heaven Devil King's chest and came out from his back. Heaven Devil King. From the moment you were born, your fate was to die today. You are also a sacrifice to achieve the final balance of this world. Zhuan sighed softly. With a spin of his right palm, a mysterious power surged out. The Heaven Devil King was sent flying backward and kept falling down. Zhuan's palm contained the true mysterious power of the Great One Realm. It completely exceeded the range that the Heaven Devil King could withstand. The Heaven Devil King only felt his consciousness becoming blurry. His eyes became very heavy, and his body became very stiff. He tried his best to open his eyes and saw Zhuan's figure. He was still looking down at him from above. His gaze was calm with a trace of sadness and pity. In his mind, he could not help but recall countless years ago when he was still an ignorant demon infant. He also kept sinking and passively watched Zhuan leave him. He had already forgotten that feeling. But now, the memories of the past gradually swept through his mind. He suddenly understood why he had been looking for Zhuan. He was unwilling, reluctant, and even more resentful. He did not want to be abandoned. The loneliness of being abandoned was unbearable. Therefore, he hated Zhuan and the primordial tree that gave birth to him in this world. Perhaps I should have been lonely, an existence that should not exist. The Heaven Devil King muttered to himself and slowly closed his eyes. His body continued to collapse and eventually turned into countless black dots of light that disappeared from the starry sky. "I'm sorry," Zhuan muttered softly as he silently watched the dissipating Heaven Devil King. After breaking through to the Great One Realm, he understood that in this final battle, no one was really right and no one was really wrong. Everyone was a sacrifice for the sake of rebalancing order. The Heaven Devil King is dead. We've won. Ma Yujia looked at the dissipating Heaven Devil King and was stunned at first. Then he laughed excitedly. Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, and the others also breathed a sigh of relief. Countless primordial gods cheered. Mo Shuji and the remaining Heaven Devil army hung their heads dejectedly. They all shrank into a corner of the starry sky and trembled. The Heaven Devil King was dead. Their Heaven Devil clan was most likely facing extinction. They knew that the primordial gods and the beings of the chaotic starry sky would not let them go. Long live His Excellency Zhuan! Long live His Excellency Zhuan! In the chaotic starry sky, countless primordial gods and beings of the chaotic starry sky cheered Zhuan's name and looked at Zhuan with reverence. However, Zhuan did not feel the joy of victory. On the contrary, he was filled with sorrow. The one you should be thanking is not me, but all those who sacrificed themselves in this battle. It was their sacrifice that finally ushered in this final peace. Do you still not understand? Zhuan's voice was not loud, but it shook everyone's heart. The cheers stopped in an instant, and everyone couldn't help but look up at Zhuan. From this day forth, there will be no difference between the two races. There will be no distinction between high and low. All races will be born equal, and all living things will compete in natural selection. I am the new guardian of order. The new order of this world will be restored and maintained by me. Zhuan slowly narrated. His body emitted a resplendent light as he soared into the sky and hung at the highest point of the starry sky. Brother Ma, let me borrow your form origin source. Zhuan looked at Ma Yujia. The latter did not hesitate and directly took off the purple gold divine crown on his head and handed it to Zhuan. As for Zhuan, he took out the origin of qi and origin of substance and slowly fused the three ultimate origin powers together. From today onwards, a new order will be formed. And a new world will be created. Zhuan's words were law. As soon as he spoke, countless light spots gushed out from the three origin powers and scattered throughout the chaotic starry sky. They scattered towards the dim primordial stars hanging high in the sky and the countless starry sky fruits hanging on the primordial stone. From now on, the new world will no longer have the primordial stars, starry sky realms, or starry sky fruits. There will only be 3 realms. I call them the mortal, celestial, and demon realms. The 3 realms have their own ultimate origin powers. The energy is equally distributed and restrained each other, thus achieving the balance of the 3 realms. Zhuowen's voice faintly resounded. Countless living beings were shocked to discover that the huge primordial tree was constantly changing and twisting, turning into a huge purple space. This is the human realm. Humans, demons, ghosts, and thousands of other races reside here. Countless realm fragments in the chaotic starry sky reformed, forming a huge pitch-black space. This is the demon realm. The remnants of the primordial heavenly demons reside here. The primordial stars hanging high in the starry sky continue to expand, forming a huge white space. This is the divine realm. The remnants of the primordial gods reside in the divine realm. With just a few words and a few actions, Zhuowen had caused a huge change in the entire chaotic starry sky. He was like a true creator of the universe, completely shocking everyone present. Is this the Grand Unity realm? Isn't this too terrifying? Brother Zhuo is completely transforming this world. I can't even imagine such means. Ma Yujie muttered to himself, full of respect for Jun. Brother Zhuo, the primordial heavenly demons should be eradicated. They are the root of all evil. They shouldn't be given any place to reside. Ma Yujie hesitated for a moment, then rushed to Zhuowen's side and advised in a low voice. Zhuowen shook his head and said, Brother Ma, you're still too narrow-minded. The true cause of the chaos in this world is not the primordial heavenly demons. The true cause is the primordial gods. The primordial heavenly demons are just sacrifices to restrain the primordial gods in the early stages and slow down the destruction of order. In this world, where there is light, there is darkness. Where there is justice, there is evil. Where there is a positive, there is a negative. The lack of any one will lead to the overflow of the other, resulting in the final imbalance. I divided the 3 realms to truly balance this world, to maintain the order of this world, so that the true tragedy will not happen again. Hearing this, Ma Yujie was stunned, and a look of realization appeared in his eyes. Everything that Zhuowen said, he had never thought about it, and would not deliberately think about it. But now, Zhuowen's words faintly made him understand the true essence of this world, grasping a principle that he had never come into contact with before. Is this the difference between comprehending Tao and not comprehending Tao? I keep feeling that the way you look at me is like looking at an ant. Ma Yujie said with a bitter smile. Zhuowen said with a faint smile, Brother Ma, you are the new generation primordial divine king. The construction of the divine world in the future will depend on you. I hope that you can truly lead the primordial gods onto the right path. Brother Zhuo, what about you? Ma Yujie was stunned. As long as the 3 realms exist, I will exist. Go, I have already opened the passageway to the divine world for you. Yun pointed to the huge vortex in the white space in the distance and said with a slight smile. Ma Yujie's gaze was complicated. He understood that Zhuowen's cultivation had reached a whole new level, seeing through the true essence of the world. His vision was naturally completely different from his. Can I still see you in the future? Ma Yujie asked with a light sigh. We will always be friends. Zhuowen replied seriously. Ma Yujie smiled. Although Zhuowen did not answer his question directly, Zhuowen's answer was enough. When Ma Yujie led the remaining primordial gods into the divine world, Un came before Mo Suji and the remaining heavenly demon army. Lord Mo Zhuo. Mo Suji slowly knelt on the ground, and the rest of the heavenly demon army followed suit. The ferocity in their eyes was gone, leaving only respect and fear. Go! The devil world will be your home in the future. Mo Suji, you will be the new lord of the devil world. However, you need to truly lead the heavenly demon clan onto the right path. Otherwise, the heavenly demons will not be able to escape calamity. Good and bad, It all depends on a single thought. Zhuowen said indifferently. Mo Su-ji slowly raised his head and looked straight at Zhu. Deep in his eyes, there was a look of understanding and determination. Lord Amujua, I will definitely not disappoint you. With that, Mo Su-ji straightforwardly led the remaining heavenly demon army into the pitch-black devil world. Zhu Huang, Abyss Master, and all living beings of the 100 outer regions enter the mortal world. The mortal world is the most complete world in the 3 realms. There are countless living beings of the primordial Hong Meng tree's starry sky fruit, but its foundation is also the weakest. Most of the living beings in the mortal world have yet to be enlightened. You need to preach the Tao and pass down the true Tao so that they can quickly grow stronger. This way, they can slowly catch up to the divine world and devil world, and finally form a tripartite balance of power. Zhuowen's voice was gentle, but it was filled with dignity and solemnity. Zhu Huang, Abyss Master, and countless other living beings could not help but believe in Zhuowen. Thank you, Lord Zhuowen. Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, and the others thanked Zhuowen sincerely before entering the human world of the purple space. Time passed slowly. 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years. After the 3 realms were established, the human, devil, and divine worlds began to develop rapidly, each giving birth to all kinds of brilliant civilizations. Countless geniuses were born, and a true great war began. However, the development of the 3 realms was rather balanced, so although there were occasional conflicts, it was basically harmless. After all, the 3 realms kept each other in check and maintained a delicate balance. On the other hand, this balance brought true and long-lasting peace to the 3 dimensions. Countless living beings recuperated, prospered, and thrived. Mortal World, Central Imperial Court. Zhu Huang and Abyss Master sat on the main seats and listened to the reports from their subordinates with slightly furrowed brows. It's been tens of thousands of years, and the 3 realms have completely maintained the balance. But Lord Zhuowen has disappeared, and there's no news of the Ryuka either. Where did they go? Abyss Master said with a frown. Jin Ao and many dragons have been released by Lord Zhuowen into the Great World. In the past, they could still contact Xiaohe, but now Xiaohe has stopped sending messages. This is a complete loss of leads. Zhu Huang sighed. Zhu Huang and Abyss Master, as the supreme rulers of the mortal world, were sighing at this moment. If countless beings in the mortal world knew about this, they would probably be stunned. Zhu Huang and the Abyss Master weren't the only ones searching for Zhuowen. Mo Shuji, the master of the devil world, and Ma Yujie, the master of the god world, were also searching for him. Unfortunately, even Mo Shuji and Ma Yujie had no clue. They were all wondering where Zhuowen had gone all these years. However, what they didn't notice was that for tens of thousands of years, there was a very special speck of dust that had been floating in the 3 realms and never landed on the ground. In the depths of this speck of dust, there was a huge world. This world was full of life and colorful, as if it was a paradise on earth. This was Zhuowen's great world. There were many mortals in this great world. These mortals had never come into contact with true cultivation methods. They followed the cycle of the heavenly Tao, working at sunrise and resting at sunrise. They experienced birth, old age, sickness, and death. In a remote village in the great world, an ordinary youth sat silently in a simple courtyard, concentrating on carving wood. His appearance was ordinary, his skin was wheat-colored, and he wore coarse clothes. He looked like an ordinary village youth. Husband. Woody snuck out of the great world again. It's been tens of thousands of years, Woody has already grown up. How can he still be as naughty as when he was young? Inside the thatched hut, a young woman in a green dress slowly walked out. Her beautiful face was filled with worry. Chen Shui. Children and grandchildren have their own fortune. If Woody wants to go out and explore, then let him. As long as he doesn't use his real name, he can do whatever he wants. Did Xiaohe go with him? The youth put down the wood carving and looked at the young woman in the green dress with a smile. Yes. Sherpadian went with him too. Mu Chen Shui said helplessly. That kid Padian, why hasn't he grown up at all? He actually went crazy with Wudi and Xiao He. The youth shook his head with a smile. The youth was Zhuan. After creating the three realms, he no longer cared about the matters of the three realms. Instead, he opened up a great world and lived in seclusion with his family. Zhuan also understood the true Tao and understood the rule of inaction. So, he no longer interfered with the development of the great world. The reproduction and progress of countless living beings depended on their own luck. This was also the reason why there were many mortals in the great world. Zhuan liked this kind of atmosphere more. Being willing to be ordinary allowed him to obtain true peace in his heart. Ryuka also agreed with his philosophy and followed him into the great world to live in seclusion. Husband, big sister Chen Shui, Wudi has caused trouble. This kid has exposed his identity. Mo Suji, Mayuja, Zhu Huang, and the Abyss Master have come to find us. In the room, Moyan Wushang in a light red dress quickly walked out. He took out a communication talisman and handed it to Zhuowen and Mu Chenxue. Then I'll have a talk with them. Zhuan shook his head with a smile. He waved his sleeve and a giant hole appeared in the sky above the great world. Then, streams of light flew out and appeared in the courtyard where Zhuan was. These four people were none other than Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, Ma Yujie, and Mo Suji. They were the true rulers of the three realms. The appearance of these four people completely alarmed Zhuowen's village. If one looked carefully, they would find that this village was full of Ryuka people. Long Xiaotian, Feng Xiao, Lu Hantian, Duan Jipeng, Shan Lingyun, and the others were also alarmed. They all came out of their wooden houses. It's Ma Yujie, Zhu Huang, and the others. I never thought that they would come to find us. Long Xiaotian's eyes flashed. Let Winner handle this. Winner knows what to do. We don't need to worry about it. Feng Xiao tugged at the corner of Long Xiaotian's clothes. Lord Xiao is right. We should leave this troublesome matter to Zhun. Let's continue to work. I still have to chop a lot of firewood today. Otherwise, I won't be able to report back to my wife. Lu Hantian carried the chopper and patted Duan Jipeng, who was carrying a hoe, before he left. Wushang's rice wine is delicious. Since there are guests today, I should be able to get some rice wine. Shan Lingyun's eyes lit up. Without thinking, she rushed toward Zhuowen's courtyard. However, she was stopped by Duan Jipeng's hand. Duan Jipeng then lifted Shan Lingyun up. Grandmaster Lingyun, the master of the three realms must be here to discuss something important. Let's not disturb them. After saying that, Duan Jipeng carried the hoe in his right hand and Shan Lingyun in his left hand. He left without looking back. As for Shan Lingyun's struggle, he completely ignored it. In the courtyard, Zhuan set up a wooden table and 5 wooden stools. He then invited Zhu Huang, Ma Yujie, and the others to take a seat. Brother Zhua, you aren't honest at all. After establishing the three realms, you just left everything to others and disappeared for tens of thousands of years. Ma Yujie sat down and spoke in a loud voice. Sir Mo Zhua, I've been looking for you with great difficulty. Mo Suji nodded his head and his voice was filled with a bit of complaint. Zhu Huang and the Abyss Master nodded their heads like little chicks. The 4 of you. It's rare for you to come here, so let's not talk about this kind of heavy topic. Zhuan shook his head and then shouted into the room. Chen Shui, make a portion of your best edamame roasted chicken. Wushang, bring a few jugs of your rice wine. You only know how to order people around. Can't you do it yourself? In the room, Mu Chenxue's complaint came out. Although she said this, her body was very honest as she began to cook the edamame roasted chicken in the kitchen. Mo Yen Wushang came out with 2 jugs of rice wine in his hands. Zhuan quickly came forward to take the rice wine. At the same time, his mouth praised Wushang's virtuousness like it was smeared with honey. Of course, hearing the large knocking sounds coming from the kitchen, Zhuan quickly went into the kitchen to comfort Mu Chenxue before coming out. The 4 of you. Wushang's rice wine is very good and has a mellow taste. Come, let's all have a taste. Zhuowen opened the lid and poured a full bowl for the 4 of them. He also poured a bowl for himself. He lifted the bowl and drank it all in one gulp. The four of them had strange gazes as they looked at everything around them and Zhuowen's performance. If they didn't know Zhuowen's identity, they would have thought that this was a normal village and that the person in front of them was a normal village man. That's right. How are Wudi, Xiaohei, and Sherpadian? After they sneaked out, Junin was worried to death and often came here to complain. After Zhuowen finished drinking the rice wine, he smacked his lips and looked at the four dumbfounded people in front of him as he asked, "Oh, Zhuwudi, Xiaohei, and Sherpadian are all well. They are currently traveling in the human world. The experts I sent have been protecting them." Zhu Huang said quickly, "Brother Zhua, don't hide from us in the future. If Zhuwudi hadn't been exposed this time, we wouldn't have been able to find you. And you are the savior of the three realms. Why do you live in seclusion here? With your achievements, you can really rule the three realms and maintain the stability of the three realms." Ma Yujie looked at Zhuowen and asked. Not only Ma Yujie, but Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, and Imo Shuji also looked at Zhuowen. They didn't understand why Zhuowen was doing this. He clearly had the power to change the world, so why did he choose to live in seclusion? Zhuowen's power could do many things. He could make the three realms more prosperous and make the world more perfect. Stability has never been maintained by power, but rather by the hearts of the people. The stability of the three realms doesn't need me. It needs leaders like you to lead the hearts of the people. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's continue drinking. Chen Shui's edamame roasted chicken is ready. Zhuan poured rice wine for the four of them. Mu Chenxue also brought out the edamame roasted chicken from the inner room. Moyan Wushang, on the other hand, followed Mu Chenxue obediently as they fiddled with other dishes in the kitchen. The five of them drank rice wine in the courtyard while eating the dishes brought by the two girls. They drank for a long time and talked about many things. They also reminisced about the past. Then, Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, Ma Yujie, and Imo Shuji all became drunk. "Husband, did you deliberately make them drunk?" Mu Chenxue and Moyan Wushang walked out of the inner room and looked at the four drunk people. "I didn't make them drunk, they just wanted to get drunk." Zhuan calmly said, "Husband, do you plan to agree to them and take charge of the three realms?" Moyan Wushang suddenly asked. Zhuan shook his head and said, "The three realms never needed someone to take charge of the three realms. If I really took charge of the three realms, it would break the balance. At that time, how would it be different from the previous era? This is the last time I see them. I've already said what I need to say. In the future, I won't be involved in any disputes. I just want to stay here with you forever and live a carefree life. Wouldn't that be great?" Zhuowen walked up and gently hugged Mu Chenxue and Imo Yen Wushang. The two women's faces were filled with tenderness as they hugged Zhuowen as well. When Zhu Huang, the Abyss Master, Ma Yujie, and Imo Shuji woke up, they found that they were no longer in Zhuowen's world, but in their own palaces. "Balance is eternal. I hope you will remember this." Zhuowen's voice slowly sounded in their minds. They were stunned at first, then immediately showed a look of understanding and silently imprinted Zhuowen's words in the depths of their hearts. Since then, there were no more records of Zhuowen in the three realms. It was as if Zhuowen had never existed in this world. But there were always a few people who always remembered the name Zhuowen in their hearts. Because, a long time ago, this person called Zhuowen had saved this starry sky, this world. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.